witness to my own funeral. The darkness came first, then awareness. Not the gentle awakening from sleep, but a violent snap into consciousness, like a circuit suddenly completing. I existed, suspended in perfect blackness, my mind racing while my body lay still as carved stone. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. I couldn't move. Yet I wasn't suffocating. Instead, I existed in a state of suspended animation. My consciousness trapped in an immobile shell. Voices filtered through the darkness, muffled at first, then gradually clearer. A somber baritone resonated above me. Russell Mercer was a man of passion and conviction. In his 47 years, he touched many lives with his generosity and spirit. My name, my age, my eulogy. Panic surged through my mind like an electrical storm, but my pulse remained undetectable. I was at my own funeral. The realization crystallized with horrifying clarity. I was presumed dead, yet fully, agonizingly aware. The air around me was heavy with the mingled scents of lilies and formaldehyde. The polished wood of what I now understood to be my coffin felt cold against my back, even through the suit I'd been dressed in. My final suit, chosen without my consent. He leaves behind his loving wife, Margaret, and his daughter, Emily, both of whom he cherished above all else. Margaret. Her face appeared in my mind, soft brown eyes that crinkled at the corners when she smiled, chestnut hair that caught the light, slender fingers that had touched my face just days ago. Or had it been longer? Time had become fluid, unreliable. I strained against my paralysis, willing just one finger to twitch, one eyelid to flutter. Nothing. My body remained a prison of flesh, unresponsive to my desperate commands. As the prayer ended, footsteps approached. The coffin creaked slightly as someone leaned over it. A drop of moisture, a tear, fell onto my cheek and slid down to my ear. I couldn't even flinch at the sensation. "Oh, Russell." Margaret's voice choked with emotion. "I'll miss you so much." Her words should have comforted me. Instead, they sent a chill through my paralyzed form. Something in her tone, some subtle note beneath the grief, registered as wrong, like an instrument slightly out of tune, not enough for most to notice, but jarring to those who knew the true sound. Memory flickered like a faltering flame. The night before, what I thought was my death. Margaret bringing me a glass of whiskey. The unusual bitter aftertaste. The creeping numbness that had started in my fingertips and spread inward. My heartbeat slowing. Her face watching. Not with horror or concern, but with patience. The tranquil passage process is revolutionary, a professional voice explained above me. Dr. Howard, I presumed, the mortician from Serenity Gardens Memorial. The synthetic preservation compound allows natural death processes to conclude while preventing decomposition. The funeral home's specialization in this advanced method now seemed like cruel irony. I was trapped in the midpoint between mortality and preservation, held in stasis by chemicals that maintained my appearance while my consciousness remained horrifyingly intact. And you're certain he's gone? Emily's voice, my daughter, 24 years old, analytical like me, suspicious of convenient truths. Even in my state, pride flickered within me at her questioning tone. Standard protocol requires a 24-hour waiting period before final sealing, Dr. Howard continued. It's mostly tradition, of course. We'll complete the preservation process tomorrow morning, 24 hours. A window of opportunity. That's thoughtful, Margaret remarked, her voice tight. Though I can't imagine why we'd need to wait. The scent of her perfume, vanilla and amber, drifted over me as she leaned closer to the coffin. I felt her fingers brush against mine, a feather-light touch that arranged my hands more perfectly over my chest. The law requires it, Dr. Howard replied, his tone professionally neutral. State regulations for the tranquil passage method are quite specific. I heard Margaret's slight intake of breath, so subtle that only someone who had shared a bed with her for 15 years would recognize it as frustration. The paralysis from the tetrodotoxin. I was certain now that's what she had used. Left me unable even to regulate my awareness. I couldn't sleep, couldn't drift into unconsciousness to escape this nightmare. I could only think, remember, and realize with growing horror what had happened. A door opened. The sound of high heels clicking against the floor grew louder, then stopped beside my coffin. Russell. Margaret's voice, no longer performatively grief-stricken. I need to make sure you understand why this is happening. Her fingertips traced the edge of the coffin, inches from my face. You never truly saw me, did you? Always focused on your own needs, your own desires. 15 years in your shadow, adjusting myself to fit your expectations. Her voice remained quiet, controlled. Did you know I started painting again last year? No, you didn't notice the studio I set up in the garage. Just like you didn't notice when I stopped loving you 3 years ago. Her words sliced through me more effectively than any scalpel. I hadn't noticed. I could have just left, she continued, her voice thoughtful. Divorce is so common, isn't it? But then I'd get half of everything at best. This way. She paused, and I could almost see her smile. This way, I get it all. The house, the investments, the insurance, a fresh start. The funny thing is, she continued, her voice dropping to a near whisper, no one will ever suspect. Your high blood pressure, your family history of heart problems, everyone saw this coming eventually, just not quite so soon. 24 hours, she murmured. Then it will be over. I'm sorry it has to be this way, Russell, but I've waited long enough for my life to begin. Time distorted in the coffin. Only the subtle changes in ambient sound gave me any sense of time's passage. The paralysis was absolute. Yet paradoxically, I felt everything. The slight pressure of the coffin's padded interior, the unnatural stiffness of my starched collar. Most of all, I felt the crushing weight of Margaret's betrayal pressing against my chest more heavily than any physical constraint. The sound of the funeral home's front door opening interrupted my thoughts. Multiple footsteps approached my room. I just want to see him one more time. Emily's voice, tight with emotion. Before tomorrow. Of course, Miss Mercer. Take all the time you need. Dr. Howard's professional compassion. Dad. Emily's voice was closer now, directly above me. If only I could move. If only I could signal to her. My daughter, the one person who might question, who might look closely enough to see the truth. He doesn't look right, she said suddenly. I'm sorry? Dr. Howard's voice, confused. Something's off. His color. It's not like when someone's passed. Emily's voice grew firmer. And look at his eyes. The eyelids naturally settle in a slightly open position sometimes, Dr. Howard explained. We generally close them fully before the final preservation. No, it's not that. I swear they moved. My consciousness surged at her words. Yes, Emily. Look closer, Miss Mercer. Dr. Howard's voice was gentle but firm. I understand this is incredibly difficult. Many people experience these moments, seeing what they wish to see. I'm not imagining it, Emily insisted. Something's wrong. Dad had this thing about being buried alive. It was like a phobia for him. He made me promise I'd always check, always be sure. She was right. After reading Poe as a teenager, I'd developed an irrational fear of premature burial. The bitter irony of my current situation wasn't lost on me. I want another doctor to look at him. Emily's voice cracked slightly. Please, just to be sure. That would be unusual, Dr. Howard said carefully, but not impossible. However, we would need next of kin approval. That would be your mother. Then call her, Emily said. Call her right now. The sound of a phone being dialed. Rings echoed through the quiet room. Margaret Mercer, my wife's voice, slightly surprised. After brief explanations, Margaret's voice acquired a careful neutrality. Emily, she finally said, softly chiding. You're traumatized. We all are. But this isn't healthy. Mom, please. Dr. Howard, Margaret interrupted. Is there any medical reason to believe my husband isn't deceased? No, Mrs. Mercer. All standard protocols were followed. Then I think we need to accept reality and allow the grieving process to proceed naturally. The call ended. I felt a surge of desperate hope as Dr. Howard moved closer to the coffin. I'll perform a standard examination, he explained to Emily. I felt his cool, gloved fingers press against my neck, searching for a pulse that the tetrodotoxin had rendered imperceptible. He lifted one of my eyelids fully. The first change in my visual field since awakening in this nightmare. This was my chance. If any part of me could move, any minute twitch or dilation, now was the moment. Pupillary response is absent, Dr. Howard noted clinically. No sign of cardiovascular activity. No! I screamed within the prison of my mind. I'm here! I'm alive! Wait! Emily's voice was sharp. Do that again. Check his eyes again. Dr. Howard obliged, lifting my eyelid once more. I swear I saw something, Emily insisted. A tiny movement. There are certain substances that can create a death-like state, he said carefully. Extremely rare cases, but in my 40 years of practice, I've read about them. What are you saying? Emily's voice was barely above a whisper. Given your concerns and certain subtle anomalies I'm observing, I believe we should delay the final preservation process until we can conduct more thorough tests, just to be absolutely certain. In the stillness of my paralysis, a spark of hope flared to life. I was alone with Dr. Howard. After Emily left to make arrangements for additional tests, he had remained in the viewing room. Mr. Mercer, he finally said, his voice low and measured. If you can hear me, I want you to know that I suspect what might have happened to you. In my younger years, I worked briefly in Haiti, he continued. I witnessed cases there, substances that could induce states virtually indistinguishable from death. Tetrodotoxin is one such agent. Yes, my mind screamed. That's it. The door opened. The familiar sound of Margaret's heels approached. Dr. Howard, she said, her voice carefully modulated. I'd like a word. Their footsteps receded, leaving me alone once more. Minutes stretched endlessly until the door opened again. I appreciate your understanding, Dr. Howard. Margaret's voice had regained its composure. Something in his tone had changed. The certainty, the suspicion from earlier, had been replaced by a strange formality. Dr. Howard's footsteps retreated, and the door closed, leaving me alone with my would-be murderer. Well, Margaret said, her voice dropping to a whisper, that was inconvenient. Your dutiful daughter nearly complicated things, she continued. But fortunately, Dr. Howard is a practical man. When faced with the choice, between pursuing an unlikely theory or accepting a generous donation to the funeral home's renovation fund, he made the sensible decision. Cold horror washed over me. She had bought his silence, his complicity. The tests won't happen, she explained calmly. Instead, they'll complete the preservation process tonight. A small adjustment to the schedule, that's all. Her perfume, once comforting, now sickening, enveloped me as she leaned closer. This isn't just about money. This is about freedom. From your expectations. From your subtle control. The truth is, I've besaid for years in our marriage, she said. Now it's just making official what's been true all along. One of us needed to go. And you always said you'd die for me. Now you get to keep that promise. Time passed. Minutes or hours, I couldn't tell. The door opened again, and multiple sets of footsteps entered. We'll begin the final preservation now, Dr. Howard's voice announced. Mrs. Mercer has signed all the necessary authorizations. I felt hands positioning equipment near the coffin, heard the soft hiss of pressurized systems being prepared. Begin the process, Dr. Howard instructed. I heard a mechanical sound, then the subtle hiss of gas being released into the coffin. The door burst open with a crash. Stop! Emily's voice, breathless and commanding. Stop right now, Miss Mercer. Your mother has... I don't care what she authorized, Emily interrupted fiercely. I have a court order. This is highly unusual, Dr. Howard said, his voice tight. Judge Harriman is a family friend, Emily explained, and he takes potential medical malpractice very seriously. This emergency order requires independent verification before any further procedures. And I've brought someone who can help with that, Emily continued. Dr. Langhorne from County General. She specializes in toxicology. Dr. Howard, a new female voice greeted coolly. I understand there's some question about this death certificate. I'd like to perform some tests immediately. I felt the preservation gas being shut off. Hands moved around me, unfastening something near the coffin's edge. I'm drawing blood for immediate analysis, Dr. Langhorne explained. And I'm administering a counteragent that will neutralize certain paralytic toxins if present. Something cold entered my veins. The sensation, the first active feeling beyond passive awareness since this nightmare began, was shockingly intense. Hands moved over me, clinical and thorough. Fingers pressed against my neck, lifted my eyelids, checked my reflexes. Interesting, Dr. Langhorne murmured. Very interesting. And then, a miracle. The slightest twitch in my index finger, imperceptible to anyone not watching for it, but to me, it was an earthquake, a revolution, a resurrection. There, Emily's voice, triumphant. His finger moved. I saw it. Indeed, Dr. Langhorne confirmed, her voice calm but urgent. We need to get him to the hospital immediately. This man is not dead. He's been poisoned with a neurotoxin that mimics death. The room erupted into activity. I felt my body being lifted, transferred, moved with urgent care. Someone should inform Mrs. Mercer, Dr. Howard suggested, his voice strained. "Oh, don't worry about that," Emily said, her voice carrying a hardness I'd never heard before. "The police are already speaking with her. They were very interested in the contents of her evening tea." "Her tea?" Dr. Langhorne asked. "Yes," Emily replied, and I could hear the grim satisfaction in her voice. "The one containing the same substance that nearly killed my father. The one I've been replacing with harmless herb tea for the past week, ever since I found her research on tetrodotoxin on her laptop." As they wheeled me toward the ambulance, I felt the paralysis receding further. A finger twitch became a hand flexing. An eyelid flickered. My lungs expanded slightly more with each breath. I was coming back from the dead. And Margaret was going to a cell. Justice, like life itself, sometimes hangs by the thinnest of threads. But when that thread holds, resurrection is possible. What lies behind her mirror? Detective Sarah Chen stared at the ornate Victorian mirror, its silver surface reflecting nothing but shadows in the dim light of the abandoned mansion. 3 days, 3 women missing, and all connected to this house. The mirror seemed to mock her with its emptiness. "Find anything?" Detective Mike Rodriguez's voice echoed from the hallway. "Just another dead end," Sarah replied. But something about the mirror kept drawing her attention. The curved floral patterns along its frame seemed to shift in her peripheral vision. But when she looked directly at them, they were perfectly still. "The homeowner's alibi checks out," Mike said, entering the room. "He was in Tokyo when the first woman disappeared." Sarah traced her fingers along the mirror's frame. "What about his wife?" "That's where it gets interesting." Mike pulled out his notebook. "Mrs. Eleanor Wright hasn't been seen in public for 6 months. Neighbors say she became a recluse after their daughter's suicide last year." Sarah's hand froze on the frame. Suicide? That wasn't in the case file, because it wasn't ruled a suicide officially. The daughter, Rebecca Wright, 19, was found in this room, in front of this mirror, with no signs of trauma. Toxicology came back clean. They called it natural causes, but 19-year-olds don't just die of natural causes, Sarah finished. She leaned closer to the mirror, her breath fogging the glass. For a moment, she thought she saw something move behind her reflection. A shadow darker than the others. "Here's the part that'll give you chills," Mike continued. "Each of our missing women reported seeing someone following them in mirrors before they disappeared. Their therapists all noted it as a shared delusion." Sarah stepped back from the mirror. "All 3 saw someone in mirrors," A woman in a black dress, according to their descriptions. They said she would watch them, getting closer each time, but only in reflections, never in real life. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Sarah pulled her jacket tighter. "We need to talk to Mrs. Wright." "Already tried. The housekeeper says she hasn't left her room in 3 months. Won't see anyone. Won't talk to anyone." Sarah's phone buzzed. A text from forensics. "Lab results are in on the dust samples from the missing women's homes. Anything useful? Traces of silver nitrate. And..." Sarah squinted at the screen. "Something they can't identify. Some kind of organic compound they've never seen before." A floorboard creaked behind them. Both detectives spun around, but the doorway was empty. When Sarah turned back to the mirror, she caught a glimpse of movement, a flash of black fabric disappearing around the edge of the reflection. "Tell me you saw that," she whispered. Mike shook his head. "Saw what?" Sarah approached the mirror again, her heart pounding. The frame felt cold under her fingers, much colder than it should be. "We need to get this mirror to the lab. Sarah, it's just a mirror. We need to focus on finding Mrs. Wright. And 3 women are missing, Mike. All saw someone in mirrors before they vanished. Rebecca Wright dies mysteriously in front of this specific mirror. And now I'm seeing..." She stopped, realizing how it would sound. "You're seeing something in the mirror, too?" Mike's voice carried a note of concern. "Maybe you should take a break. You've been working this case non-stop for..." A laugh echoed through the room. High, feminine, and definitely not coming from either of them. Mike drew his gun, scanning the shadows. "NYPD, show yourself." Sarah couldn't move. In the mirror, a woman in a black Victorian dress stood directly behind her. But when Sarah spun around, there was nothing there. The figure remained in the reflection, smiling. "Mike," Sarah's voice shook. "Look in the mirror." He turned, and his face went pale. That's not possible." The woman in black raised a finger to her lips, then pointed to something behind them. Against their better judgment, both detectives turned. A door had appeared in the wall, a door that hadn't been there moments ago. It stood slightly ajar, revealing a silver glow beyond. "Call for backup," Sarah said, drawing her weapon. Mike already had his phone out. No signal. The woman in the mirror laughed again, the sound seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. When they looked back at the reflection, she was gone. But words had appeared in the fog of Sarah's breath on the glass. "Come find us. We need to leave," Mike said, backing toward the room's entrance. "Now." But Sarah stood transfixed by the mirror. In its depths, she could now see multiple figures. Women in modern clothing, frozen in poses of terror, their faces familiar from the missing persons reports. And behind them, barely visible, was Rebecca Wright, mouthing 2 words over and over. "Help us. The killer isn't Mrs. Wright," Sarah whispered. "It's the mirror." Somehow, it's the mirror. That's impossible. Mirrors don't kidnap people. Mirrors don't kill. 3 months ago, I would have agreed with you. Sarah's fingers found a catch in the mirror's frame, a small lever hidden among the floral patterns. But look at the evidence: the silver nitrate in their homes, the mysterious compound, the shared visions. What if this isn't just a mirror? What if it's a door? A door to where? Sarah pressed the lever. The mirror's surface rippled like water, and through it, they could hear distant screams. I don't know, she answered. But those women are still alive in there, and we're going to get them out. Mike grabbed her arm. Wait. If this is real, if this is actually happening, we need a plan. We need equipment. We need to move now. Sarah cut him off. Look, the ripples in the mirror's surface were spreading to the frame, to the wall around it. The door behind them creaked wider, the silver light growing brighter. It's not just a portal, Sarah realized. It's expanding. If we don't stop it now, it'll take over the whole house, Mike finished. The whole city. Sarah checked her gun, knowing it might be useless against whatever waited on the other side. I'm going in. Call for backup if you get a signal. If I'm not back in 30 minutes, I'm coming with you, Mike said firmly. Partners don't let partners enter interdimensional mirrors alone. Despite everything, Sarah smiled. Ready? Mike nodded. Ready. Together, they stepped through the rippling surface. The last thing they saw in the normal world was their own reflections, distorting and fragmenting as reality bent around them. Then, they were falling through silver light, the screams growing louder. And somewhere ahead, a woman in black was laughing. The mirror stood silent in the empty room, its surface slowly stilling until it once again showed only shadows. But if anyone had looked closely, they might have seen new figures in its depths. A man and woman in police uniforms, running through an endless maze of mirrors, chasing a figure in a black dress who always stayed just out of reach. And on the wall, in elegant Victorian script, new words appeared in the dust. Who will come looking for them? BAFTs. I don't think you should. I really don't think you should. Get your anxiety under control. Do you know the consequences of doing something like this? Do you know the consequences of not doing it? We could die. We could die. So many more can die if we don't. You're not thinking. You're being selfish. Selfish? Did you ever consider that we're here because we're heroes? Heroes? Do you have a God complex? If we pull this off, we'll save millions. Tell me that's not heroic. So you are doing it to be famous? No. The money? Stop. The glory? You're distracting me. We have more work to do. I don't think we should. Now there's a we? Sure. You can turn back, but I'm going. Don't leave me. Go back the way we came. It's a straight shot to the exit. I'm dizzy. Breathe. I'm so faint. I don't have time for this. Ow! Why did you do that? You deserved it. I don't think I did. Fine. Stay here then. Don't leave. I have to keep moving. You're such an Shh. What's that? Shh. What's that? We're running out of time. Come on. What was that? Not sure. It came from the way we came. So, no exit? Likely not. No choice but to keep it moving. How much longer? Are you really asking me if we're there yet? No, I'm asking you how much longer until we get there. Here. What's this? What do you think it is? Well, it's obviously map, but it looks like my son drew it. Shh. I don't know. Someone else, maybe? Shh. We're fine. Just stay quiet. Those aren't people. Get off me. Then be quiet. What? They're bats. Bats? Wait. Where are you going? Bats. Are you scared of bats? Of course I'm not scared of bats. You seem very scared about the bats. Stop saying bats. Come on, let's keep moving. Are you scared of things that fly? No, I'm not scared of bats. Now shut up and give me the map. It's okay that you're scarred down. Shut up. It's this way. Let's keep moving. Why? If it was just bats, then we can go back. Humanity's survival depends on it. Oh, really? Let's think. We're in a dark cave, trying to find the greatest threat to humanity. With a map that looks like it was drawn by a toddler, we almost got mauled by bats. And now we're lost. We're not lost? Then where are we? We're close. Left or right? Left. The bats went left. Right. Yup. I mean, let's go right. Because you're scared of the bats? Because the bats won't go where the weapons is. Right. Right. How do you know it's a weapon? What? The corp never said it was a weapon. They said they didn't know what the threat looks like. What else could it be? A person. A person? Really? I don't know. I don't know what we're looking for, or how our bosses don't know anything either. With all the money at the corp, you would think they would have a better idea, or a better map. We know it's a threat to humanity, and it's somewhere in this cave. Right. No, I don't think right was right. Are you saying that because of this dead end? Let's backtrack and go left. With the bats? With the bats. What if it's a bat? What? What if the greatest threat to humanity is a bat? A megabat? Do you hear yourself? Megabat? It's happened before. Humans are the greatest threat to humanity and the things they create. We're looking for a weapon. A thing. Whatever you say, let's follow the bats. You're so grumpy. Will you please shut it? Tam. I'm hungry. We don't have food. What do you mean we don't have food? We didn't bring food. We were supposed to be there already. What time is it? Oh, 200. No wonder. It's lunchtime. Lunch at 2 in the morning. I work the overnight shift. So, 10. What is it you do on the overnight shift? I'm the custodian. The custodian? Shh, you'll wake the bats. Explain. Right now. But explain, or we're not moving. And we're not eating. I thought you didn't have food. Explain. Now. Fine. I work as the custodian for the corp. Do you know Dr. Merlin? Never met her. Everyone says she's a kook. She's no kook. She's a genius. Very smart. Is that trail mix? Finish your story, and you get it. Last week, she was on edge. So I say, Dr. M, what's up? Yeah? And she tells me that there's new intelligence about some threat, and all of the field agents are cowardly salads. Cowardly salads? She's a tough lady, but she talks like an old-timey movie star sometimes. Her expressions. All right. So how did you end up here? Well, I told her that if there was anything else I could do to help her to let me know. So she put you in the field? Did you even have any training? I got about a week of training with the corp. Are you kidding me? Can I have that trail mix? You didn't think to mention any of this to me before? I thought you knew. Trail mix? Here, let's keep moving. Holy shit. Uh-oh? No. I told you it was Bafts. Hey, my trail mix. Focus. Why aren't they on the ceiling? They look like they're protected. Something. Someone. What? Look, there's hair. Oh, no. Nope. I'm not going in there. Give me the trail mix. Stop thinking about food. Give it to Gra. Maybe they eat trail mix. Stop throwing it. You're gonna piss them off. Look, they like it. What are you doing? They'll follow the trail of the mix. Fuck this and fuck you. Stupid corp putting me down here with a... It's working. Cowardly salad. Don't even Is that a real person? I told you the weapon wasn't a thing. Here, bats. Here, my little cutie patooties. Hey! Yes, you are misunderstood, little guys. No? Hey, she's not real. What? Who? The lady that the bats were crowding around. She looks fake. Like dummy, or a mannequin or something. Oh no. What? I think that's Dr. Merlin. The kook? It's a good replica, like in a wax museum. You ever go to Madame Tussauds? Focus. I am. It's a good copy. Only thing is, the ring is wrong. She wears it on her left hand. Don't touch her! Wow. Did you just do that? I think so. I didn't mean to. It opened when I tried to move her ring. Why did you? Is that a laptop in her abdominal cavity? It's a transmitter. Is that a countdown? And coordinates. Do you know navigation? I know that 1 is New York. That's Moscow. 2 minutes. I think it's calibrated to all the major cities. 1 minute, 50 seconds. I can see that. I think it'll send signals to those coordinates where there's likely bombs or nukes or something. The mechanism can't be communicating via satellite. There's no service here. Yeah, not even the sat phone's working down here. It must be low-frequency transmissions, perhaps to another point right outside of the cave, which then likely connects via satellite. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. We don't have time to find the outside receiver, so we'll have to block the waves from here. You know a lot about radios for a custodian. Before I immigrated, I was a radio specialist for my country's special forces. Okay. I didn't know. You never asked. So what do? We need to get the bats back. What? They were keeping the equipment at the ideal temperature while keeping themselves cool against metal Merlin. If we can lure them back, then maybe they can provide enough insulation to cut the signal. That's stupid. That's plan B. What's plan A? We only have 1 minute. Plan A is that I will try to jam the equipment with my tools. Okay. What can I do? Go get the bats. What? I'm not familiar with this system, so plan A might not work. 45 seconds. Get the bats back here. Scare them, and they'll flock to Merlin. How do you know that? Do you have any other ideas? How am I supposed to scare the bats? They don't like fire. Take this Zippo and make a torch from something. I don't think. 30 seconds. Merlin, what have you done? I believed in you. Now you betray humanity like this. What a shame, because you really are a genius. I have no idea how you made this transmitter. but it is very elegant. I'm impressed, disappointed, but also very impressed. 10 seconds. We're not going to make it. Oh. Yes, over here, cutie patooties. Go to your mama. Go, go. Why are you in your underwear? I put my clothes over Robot Merlin to try and damp the signal. Why are your underwear? I made torches. Good work. Yeah, you too. Do you think it worked? We won't know until we get outside. Let's go then. Here, take a torch. Thanks. You were a very brave salad with the bats. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't ask you anything about yourself, and for slapping you. All good. Do you have any more trail mix? Nowhere to be found. She's gone missing? When? Last night. I woke up this morning, and she wasn't in her bed. I thought maybe she'd gone to the bathroom, but she wasn't there either. I checked everywhere. Oh my God, Tori, did you check the backyard? Maybe she went outside to play early. Of course, I checked the backyard. I checked the whole house, top to bottom. She's not the type to just wander off, especially not this early in the morning. Okay. Have you called the police? Not yet. I don't know. I was so panicked. I called you first. You know how they are. They'll assume the worst, that I'm a bad mother. Tori, stop. Listen to me. You need to call them now. The sooner they start looking, the better. Every second counts. You're right. I'll call them now. Good. I'll be right over. Just stay put. Thank you, Sam. I don't know what I'd do without you. Don't worry. We'll find her. Just breathe. 911. What's your emergency? My daughter. She's missing. I can't find her anywhere. Ma'am, can you give me your name and address? Victoria Brooks, 123 Main Street. And the missing person's name and age? Rose Brooks. She's 6 years old. She has long, dark hair, light brown eyes, and she was wearing her favorite pajamas, the ones with the little bunnies on them. Mrs. Brooks, we'll send someone over to take a statement. In the meantime, try not to worry. But how can I not worry? She's just a little girl. I understand, ma'am. But it's important that you stay calm and answer the officer's questions clearly. Can you do that? Yes, I'll try. Good. An officer will be there soon. Tori, it's me, Sam. Oh, thank God. I'm so glad you're here. I'm a mess. I told you I'd come. Have the police been here yet? Not yet. They said they'd send someone over soon. Did you find anything else? Any clues? Anything out of place? Nothing. It's like she just vanished into thin air. Her bed was unmade, as if she got up normally. But her favorite stuffed animal, Mr. Snuggles, is gone too. Mr. Snuggles? That's her little teddy bear, right? Yes. She never goes anywhere without him. It's strange. Maybe she took him with her. Did you check the windows? Are any of them unlocked? I don't know. I'll check. The one in the living room was unlocked, but it's too high for her to reach. Oh, God. Do you think someone took her? We don't know that yet, Tori. Let's not jump to conclusions. Maybe she climbed on a chair or something. We need to stay calm and wait for the police. Someone's at the door. I think that's them. Hello? I'm Detective Smith. You must be Mrs. Brooks. Yes, that's me. Come in. I'm here to ask you some questions about your daughter's disappearance. Of course. Anything to help find her. Can you tell me what happened last night? I put Rose to bed around 8 p.m. I read her a story, like always. She was asleep within minutes. I checked on her a few times throughout the night, and she was sound asleep. But when I woke up this morning, she was gone. Did you notice anything unusual last night? Any strange noises? Any cars outside? Anything like that? Nothing. It was a normal night. We had dinner, watched a little TV, then got ready for bed. Everything was fine. What about her father? Is he in the picture? Yes, my husband. But he's deployed overseas. And you're sure you checked everywhere in the house? Yes, I'm positive. I even checked the backyard, the shed, the basement, everywhere. Did Rose have any friends or other family she might have gone to? Anyone she might wander off to see? No, she's only 6. She doesn't have any friends outside of school, and my family lives out of state. All right, Mrs. Brooks. We're going to start our investigation and let you know if we find anything. But before we leave, we'll need to take a look around the house, if that's fine with you. Of course, Detective. Anything to help find my Rose. Thank you. And please, try to stay hopeful. We'll do everything we can to find your daughter. I appreciate that, Tori. I'm going to go check the park down the street. Rose loves playing there. Maybe she wandered off there last night. That's a good idea. I'll stay here in case the police come back. All right. I'll call you if I find anything. Be careful, Sam. Hello? Tori, it's me. I found something. What is it? Did you find Rose? No, but I found Mr. Snuggles. It was lying on the ground near the playground. Oh my God. What does that mean? I don't know, but it can't be good. I'm going to call the police and let them know. Please, hurry. I'm coming over there right now. No, Tori, wait. The police wouldn't want us to contaminate the scene. Just stay at the house. But I know, but we have to trust them. I'm calling them right now. 911. What's your emergency? Hello, Detective Smith, please. Please hold. Detective Smith speaking. Detective, it's Samantha Jones. Sam, Tori Brooks' friend. I found Rose's teddy bear, the one she always carries around. It was just lying on the ground at the neighborhood park. What? Okay, I'm on my way. Can you stay there and make sure nobody touches anything? Yes, of course. Thank you. I'll be there soon. Tori, the police are on their way to the park. They're going to search the area. Oh God, I hope they find her. I know. We just have to stay positive. I'm trying, but it's getting harder and harder. I get it. Just hang in there. They'll find something. I'm certain of it. Detective Smith, we've searched the entire park, but there's no sign of the girl. Damn it! We need to widen our search. Check all the nearby houses and businesses. See if anyone saw anything. Check security cameras. Anything. We need to find this little girl, and we're running out of time. Yes, sir. Tori. The police are widening their search. They're checking all the houses in the neighborhood, talking to people, looking at security footage. That's good, right? It means they're taking this seriously? Yes. It means they're not giving up. I hope so. I can't lose her. They'll find her, Tori. I know they will. I hope you're right. I think the police are back. Mrs. Brooks, we have some news. Is it about Rose? Did you find her? Yes, we found her. Oh my God, is she okay? Is she hurt? She's alive. But she's been through a lot. We found her in an abandoned house a few blocks from here. She was hiding in a closet. Who took her? Why? Was she hurt? We're still investigating, but we have a suspect in custody. It appears to be a case of a kidnapping gone bad. The suspect has a history of similar offenses. Rose is being checked out at the hospital, but she seems physically unharmed. Oh my God, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe someone would do this. I understand. It's a terrible thing. But the important thing is that Rose is alive. Can I see her? Yes, of course. She's at the hospital right now. We'll take you there. Thank you, Detective. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Mrs. Brooks. We're just glad we could bring your daughter home. Rose! Mommy! Mrs. Brooks. I'm so glad Rose is okay. Me too. I can't believe this nightmare is finally over. I know it's been a long day, but it's a happy ending. Yes, it is. A very happy ending, but frightening nevertheless. We need to get you both home. But first, we'll need to speak with Rose. Detective, Rose has been through a lot. Could we do this tomorrow? Perhaps you could stop by the house around noon. Sure, I understand. I'll have an officer drive you all home. Thank you. And in the meantime, I'm never letting her out of my sight again. I think that's a good idea. Eye of the horse. Oh my God! Shrieked the women, sitting in the airport van, third and fourth row bench seats, as the frigid air rushed in. No! I yelled, now alone and motionless in the second row. I never saw a guy die before, but I wasn't totally surprised by what happened. The door just opened and out he went, sobbed one of the gals in the rear of the van. His body slammed onto the pavement of Pena Boulevard at 70 Mamou, then was splattered by the U.S. Foods 18-wheeler behind us. Steak delivery to Elway's Tap Room and Grill at Denver International Airport was definitely delayed that day. I wish I had never started a conversation with the guy next to me on American Flight 5460 Louisville to Denver. Or maybe I should have warned him to just close his eyes. That day won't stop playing back in my mind. It started innocently enough. Hi, I'm Jim from Meeker. Where are you from? I said to the guy in the window seat. My wife Annie says that if I get the middle seat, I should always make friends with my neighbors to avoid any armrest fights. I flashed him my biggest gas and oil business smile. Oh, hello? I'm Brian from Kentucky. Well, at least originally, he replied while extending his oddly sweaty hand. Where's Meeker? Actually, I live on a horse ranch just west of Meeker in northwestern Colorado. Horse country, just like you in Kentucky. I pulled up the bottom of my boot-top business jeans so he could see my Tony Llamas. Oh, hell no. I don't live anywhere near horses now, and never will. I'm a lawyer for the U.S. Department of the Interior. Brian's upper lip was sprouting beads of sweat with that comment. He looked like a size 48 man in a size 44 suit coat. I thought that might explain the perspiration. That's too bad, I said. God never made another animal so connected to human beings, except for maybe dogs. My stallion's big brown eyes can look straight into my soul. After a rough day of selling natural gas and fracking pumps, there's nothing like some quality horse time. Mind if I ask what happened between you and a horse? Oh yeah. You could say something happened. I was 15 years old, and a bunch of us decided to cut across a horse field to take a shortcut home from the school bus drop off. Out of nowhere, this huge old gray horse charged at us and damn near bit me as we escaped over the fence. It had one scarred eye socket, and the other eye was all red and bulging and bloodshot. Scared the shit out of me. I fell off the fence and broke my right wrist. I cursed that horse, and I think he cursed me. Look, it never did heal right. Brian pulled up his sleeve, held up his meaty right arm, and revealed a wrist that was weirdly bent like a spoon. Yeah, I can see how that would spook you. How did the horse lose its eye? How the hell am I supposed to know? I was just a kid, and I sure didn't have anything to do with it. From that day on, old One Red Eye charged up to the fence and acted like it wanted a piece of me anytime it saw us walking along the road by his pasture. Hey, have you seen a stewardess yet? I really need a drink. Now Brian's hands were trembling a little. Our jet pivoted onto the runway. All eyes looked forward. Engine jets roared, and we accelerated with 3 Gs pulling us backwards into the seats. Then the wheels were up, and we were airborne. Hey, darling, could you please get my friend here an old-fashioned? And could you please put it on my credit card? Flight 5462's stewardesses looked like they were recruited from the geriatric ward, older and slower than the spry, shapely young ones from the good old days of air travel. After a few gulps, Brian's hands stopped shaking, but his mouth kept on running. That's not all, Jim. I biked across country when I was 25 years old and almost got trampled to death by wild horses. My buddy and I were in Warm Springs, Nevada, the middle of nowhere in Nye County, with the largest wild horse herd in America. Warm Springs had a one-building combined bar/restaurant/gas station/grocery store. We were exhausted after biking the 50 miles from Tonopah in 100-degree heat, and asked the barkeep if it was okay to pitch our tent for the night. near the picnic table beside his establishment. He said, "I don't give a shit." So we did. We conked out right away, and hours later woke up to the sound of thunder. Then the noise became deafening, and the ground and tent walls really shook. I peeked out between the tent flaps and saw nothing but the hooves, shanks, and fetlocks of hundreds of wild horses. It wasn't an earthquake. We were in the middle of a fucking wild horse stampede. Brian's eyes were now bugging out, and his face was red, wet, and kind of wild looking as he continued. He leaned in toward me and spoke in a whisper. "Jim," I curled up in the goddamn fetal position, preparing to be killed by horses. I don't mind telling you that I actually pissed myself. The guy in the aisle seat, who I never did get to make friends with, heard what Brian said, shifted away from us, and put on his headphones. I guess he had overheard enough. I wish I had done the same. Brian gulped down a second old-fashioned and collected himself a bit. "Jim, when the noise stopped and the dust started to clear, we crawled out from our tent, expecting to find our bikes, and our gear flattened and mangled. But Jim, not a single tent stake or guy rope was disturbed, and our stuff was untouched. There was no way I could sleep after that shit. And we had 75 miles of desert road with no water between Diablo and Ash Springs. So, my buddy insisted that we pack up and pedal before the sun came up. I wasn't too thrilled about him pushing the whole ride in the dark idea. Just as we made it to Diablo, I heard a sound like horses snorting off to our right. And Jim, I swear, I saw one of those wild horses staring right at me with two glowing red eyes. My buddy said I was seeing things, but I know what I saw. Right then, my bike freewheel jammed and sent me flying over the handlebars. I didn't break anything, but I whacked my shoulder and scraped the shit out of my leg. That was it for me. He rubbed his left shoulder like it happened yesterday. The armpits of his polyester suit coat were soaked. I wish I had told Brian that I needed to get some sleep before we landed in Denver, but I didn't. He might be alive today if I had ended our conversation right then and there. "Jim, don't you know the only building in Diablo, Nevada, was a road maintenance garage? The night shift worker there refused to lend us the use of their tools. Sorry, state property boys. So I stayed there till the sun rose and hitched a ride to Las Vegas and flew home. Instead of a relaxing flight home, I got the scare of my life." Brian took another swig from his drink. "Jim, I sat next to this Navajo Indian dude on the plane ride home and told him my story, just like I'm talking to you. He was tall, wore a fancy black suit, and had his hair all pulled back and tied by a white cloth, but smelled like he just came from a campfire. He never said a word until he slowly turned toward me and said, 'My people believe the sun-bearer, created the horse and placed the stars and the dark universe in the horse's eyes so they can see the dark. You know darkness can kill a man. So can the number 3. Then he got up out of his seat and went to bathroom and never came back. With that, Brian's face turned pale. I thought he was finally done with his weird story, but he leaned into me again and whispered, "Jim, I think he figured the horses see something dark in me, and I am afraid I'll die if a red-eyed horse looks into my eyes a third time. So, no 3 strikes and you're out for me. No fucking thank you. I don't want to see another horse in my life. My sister just moved to downtown Denver, and I just want to visit her and maybe see a Nuggets basketball game. Yeah, I think some big city shopping and a pro basketball game would do you good, Brian," I said. But now he's dead. I told my wife Annie all of this when I got home. Honey, I was afraid to tell him about that 32-foot-high blue Mustang sculpture. You know, the one just outside the airport that has, of all things, 2 glowing red eyes. I was sure he would go into a full PTSD episode or a seizure if he knew that we call the statue Lucifer. Remember how a section of that 9,000-pound statue fell on that Jimenez guy who sculpted him, and how it crushed his leg and severed a big artery and caused him to bleed to death. I figured he didn't know the story of the crazy guy who hopped out of his car and fired his gun at Lucifer, then turned it on himself. Annie, after we landed, I rode in the same airport van on the same front bench seat as Brian, specifically to distract him as we passed by Lucifer. "You did everything you could to help that poor man, Jimmy," she said, trying to console me while she slipped into her nightgown. "Seems like it's the van company's fault for that sliding door not locking right, sweetie. At first, I didn't think Brian ever actually saw Lucifer's red eyes. But just after we passed that bastard blue Mustang, he looked at the driver's rear view mirror and saw Lucifer all reared up on his hind legs with those red eyes beaming. Brian looked at me, and before I could say anything, he just opened the van's side door, and out he went. I should have warned him about the statue. I could have saved him." Annie said, "Oh my God, sounds like that guy had deep issues, and nobody can save that kind of crazy. Why don't you go down to the barn and check on your horses? They always calm you down." I couldn't tell her that I thought about horses and red eyes when I saw car taillights on the road ahead of me as I drove home that night. I couldn't tell her that I was worried about looking into my horse's eyes or what they would see in me. I couldn't tell her that on my last business trip, I had sat next to a Navajo Indian. He wore a black silk business suit, white button-down shirt with turquoise cufflinks, and a thin black leather necktie. His long black hair was pulled back in a traditional CL hair bun, and he smelled of burnt sage. He only spoke one sentence to me, and then got up to go to the bathroom and never returned. I hadn't even introduced myself yet. He simply turned to me and calmly asked, "Aren't you worried those natural gas and fracking pumps are harming Mother Earth?" Night call. "What do you want? Hey, can you come over? Are you fucking serious? It is 3 in the morning. No! So, I'm sorry. I know it's late. I just really need you to come to the house right now. I can't believe you. You blocked me. What makes you think I want to see you right now? I've been trying to reach out to you for weeks. Peter, you can lecture me all you want in person when you get here. I really need you to come over fast." "No, forget it. Bye. There's a man outside." "What? What does that mean?" "I don't know. I just woke up." I got up, and when I walked by the window, I noticed that there's this guy standing outside, and he's looking up at me. "Are the lights in your house turned off?" "Yes. They weren't even on." "Okay. How long has he been out there?" "I have no idea. I've been peeking out at him from behind the curtains for like 5 minutes, and he hasn't moved." "Call the cops, Dylan. I don't think they'll take it seriously. He's across the street. He's nowhere near my property. He isn't really doing anything. He might just live in the neighborhood. He'll probably move along soon, but he's been just standing there for a while. It's freaking me out." "Well, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Wake up your dad?" "My dad can't fucking walk. What do you think he's gonna do?" "So is this urgent or not? Why did you call me? What do you want me to do about it?" "I don't know. I thought you could maybe pull up in the driveway or something." "That might be enough to scare him off." "All right, Dylan. I know you're freaking out right now, but I'm gonna have to ask you to turn your brain on for a minute. I live 20 minutes away. Even if I were all too thrilled to jump in my car at the ass crack of dawn and drive over to you, I'd bet you anything that this guy is gonna be gone by the time that I get there. I am not wasting my time and burning gas so that I can drive over to your side of town for nothing. I've already done way too much of that when we were together. I don't owe you that anymore. If you're really, truly scared, then call the police. They will send somebody out. Block me again if you must. I'm going back to bed." "Do you think I like doing this, Peter?" "Don't start. You are the last person on Earth I want to talk to right now. We wouldn't be having this conversation at all if I weren't absolutely mortified. There is nobody else I can reach out to about this." "Oh? I'm sure one of your little boyfriends would love to help you out. Why don't you give them a call?" "Yeah, I did. You were not my first choice. Nobody answered. I thought you were mature enough to set your bitterness aside and come help me. I thought my safety would matter more to you than all the trivial problems you had with me. My mistake. Dylan, quit fucking around and call the police. I'm not gonna argue with you. God, you're dense. Wait, I know what this is about." "What, Peter?" "Enlighten me. What do you think you know?" "There is no guy. What are you talking about?" "I'm looking right at him. There's nobody outside. I know you, dude. You're scared of everything. There is no way in hell that you'd let some random man stand outside your house and look in your window any time of the day, especially not at 3 in the morning. You would have called the police immediately, not taken any risk calling me to come do something about it. You know that I don't like cops. Yeah, I didn't forget. I know that you don't like creepy men either. You've always struggled with common sense, but I don't think you'd waste so much time reaching out to me if you felt like you were in any real danger. I think you're pulling some fake emergency shit so you can get my attention. Yeah, I think you've been wanting to reach out to me, but you don't want to talk about everything that went down between us before you blocked me. I think it's an immature and disgusting thing to lie about. But it doesn't surprise me that you'd pull something like this. Look, call me tomorrow and we can talk about things. This is just not a good time right now. He's gone. Dylan, were you listening to me? Yeah, whatever. I looked away from the window while you were talking, and I looked back, and the guy isn't there anymore. Oh, I'm sure. Hold on, I'm gonna open the window. Take your time, bud. He's not anywhere down the street. I'm going to check the backyard. I don't remember if I locked the gate or not. So are you just gonna completely ignore everything that I just said to you? Sorry, I kinda zoned out. What did you say? You're fucking sick, man. Is that all? No, it isn't. This little scheme of yours is fucking revolting. I never should have answered your call. I don't have time for this bullshit. I have to get up for work in 3 hours. I know that this is fake because you still haven't called the police. You haven't denied a single thing that I accused you of. You're gonna stretch this conversation out for as long as you can. There's no man in your yard. There never was. You wanted my attention, and you got it. This is genuinely the worst thing you've ever done, Dylan. I hope you know that. I don't want to hear from you ever again after I hang up this call. I'm done with you. I've put up with your bullshit for nearly 5 years, and it ends tonight. This really pisses me off, man. Dylan, are you listening to me? Dylan. Hi, sorry. Dylan? What happened? Oh, nothing. Huh? Sorry to bother you. I'm gonna go. Wait. Why do you sound like that? What do you mean? You sound different. How? Your voice. It sounds rougher than it did before. I've got allergies. Good night. Hey, hold on. What? Did you hear anything that I told you? I set my phone down. Sorry. Did you go outside? Yes? Okay. Was the gate locked? Yes, I locked it. That's good. So, there's no guy? No. I need you to be 1,000% honest with me, Dylan. Okay. Was there ever really a man outside? No. So you were lying in order to reach out to me? Yeah. Why? I don't know. Is there anything you wanted to talk to me about? No. It's late. I'll call you tomorrow. Hey, Dylan? What? What's my name? My dad is calling me. Dylan, say my name. Good night. Dylan! A tale to tell. Is anyone sitting here? Harriet looked up at the older woman standing at the other end of the bench. No, not that I can see, she responded, thinking to herself, does it look like anyone sitting there? Her day had been hectic, and she desperately wanted to get home. The woman sat down, fussing her fur coat around her and shifting her ample bosom into place. I hear the train to Fauchester is delayed. How bothersome. Yes, it is. I'm not sure what's happening. Harriet glanced at the woman and then resumed her gaze on the departure board as destinations and times flicked updates, all except for the Fauchester line, which still said, departing at 14:10. It was now 3:20. I don't know what's happened to our railways. The older woman lifted her chin and adjusted her green cloche hat. It never used to be like this. At least someone would let you know what was going on. I just wish it would hurry up. Harriet glanced at her watch, as if doing so might cause something to happen. It really has disrupted my day. I should have been at a very important appointment in Fauchester with my accountant, you understand. These things are very important. It doesn't do to keep people waiting like this. Really, it doesn't. Harriet glanced at the woman. She was much older than her, in her mid-60s at least. And to Harriet, the talk of accountants, her fur coat, patent leather clasp handbag, and matching shoes left her feeling rather insignificant. I just need to get home. There's so much I need to do. And I've left Freddie with... She paused. Suddenly, her circumstances seemed so trivial in comparison with the rather affluent-looking women she was sharing the bench with. Freddie? You've left him. What have you left him with? If you don't mind me inquiring, of course. We seem to be stuck here, so we might as well have a chat to while away the time. Well, you see, Freddie, he works for me at the office. Oh, I see. And you've had to leave him in charge, have you? What sort of office, if you don't mind me asking? The insurance brokers. You might know it. Harland and Tapsfield on Fountain Street. That much was true. Harriet worked as a part-time typist for the company, juggling her hours there with managing the small terraced house, her young son, and Freddie, her husband, who worked night shifts at the steel works. Oh yes, I think I do. Just near the provincial bank. Yes, I know the place. That's right. I'm a manager there. Harriet craned her head to look down the platform, hoping a guard or someone might be able to tell her when the train would be coming. But apart from other waiting people and the odd pigeon, there was no one who could cast any light on the situation. I really wish they'd let us know what's going on, she sighed. Insurance. I never could stand our insurance man. Silly little man with a pork pie hat and a mustache that... always had bits of his lunch stuck in it. My husband dealt with all that, of course, Wilfred. Bless his soul. You do seem very young to be in charge at an insurance broker's. Oh, well, I might only be 25, but I'm very good at what I do. I certainly wouldn't have my people going around with lunch stuck in their mustaches. Harriet gave a small smile. I'm Harriet, by the way. Harriet West. Well, I'm pleased to meet you, Harriet West. I'm Dora Barton. You might have heard of me, or perhaps not. You may be of use to me someday if I'm needing to set up any insurance. Not that I should need to mind. My accountant sorts out that kind of thing for me. That must be nice, having someone to look after your affairs like that. It can be quite tiring, my dear, making sure they're doing the right thing. But I expect you know what that's like. Running an insurance, brokers must be dreadfully hard work, especially for a woman. And so young, too. Dora Barton looked Harriet up and down with a steely eye, taking in her slightly scuffed court shoes and raincoat that had seen better days. Her gaze left Harriet feeling rather uncomfortable, and she shuffled in her seat, reaching into her handbag. Actually, I really must make a phone call. Make sure that Freddie, at the office, I just need to speak to him. There's a telephone booth just at the end of the platform. I'll just go and see if I can reach him. Yes? Of course, dear. I can see you must be quite anxious. I'll make sure no one takes your seat while you're gone. And Dora spread herself a little more across the seat and placed her handbag at her side. Harriet strode quickly down the platform and into the small telephone booth where she dialed the number for home. Come on, Freddie, pick up. I've only got a couple of coins, she muttered. A clunk was heard at the end of the line, and Harriet quickly pushed her coins into the well-worn slot. Freddie, is that you? Well, of course it is. Who do you think it would be? Harry? What's up? Shouldn't you be back home by now? You know I like a couple of pints before my shift starts. Yes, it's me. The train is delayed. I don't know when it's going to arrive. Could you look after Michael until I get back? Well, I don't know, love. I thought you'd be back by now. Those trousers of mine still need mending, Oh, well, Mrs. Bentley next door will have him, I'm sure, if you really have to go. I'll sort out your trousers when I get back. You know I will. You should be back by now, Harry. This isn't like you. I know. It's the train. Oh, Freddie, please just beep, beep, beep. The pips went at the end of the line, and Harriet placed the receiver back in its cradle with a heavy thunk. Hoping desperately that Mrs. Bentley would be home, she trailed back to the bench where she could see Dora Barton talking to a man in a guard's uniform. So I said back then that the service wasn't acceptable, but it doesn't seem they've taken any notice. I'm sorry, madam. Like I said, there's a fallen tree across the line, and it's taking the fellas a while to shift it. A big one it is. Great big oak tree. Must have been the storms we had last week that weakened it or something. Came all the way down the banking, it did. The guard paused and looked at Harriet. Hello, miss. I was just telling your companion here about the tree that's blocking the Fauchester line. A tree? Oh no. How long is it going to take to clear? They don't know, interrupted Dora. They don't seem to be able to get their act together. I don't think I'm going to be able to keep my appointment now. It's going to be far too late. I'll let you ladies know if I hear anything else. The guard gave a brief smile and headed towards a group of frustrated-looking people further down the platform. Did you get everything sorted out at the office? Asked Dora, budging back down the bench as Harriet sat down. The office? Oh, yes, yes. Freddie is fine. He's got everything in hand. At least I hope he has. Harriet's voice trailed off. Oh, you don't sound too sure. Freddie's okay. Really, he is. I can trust him. Just sometimes, I need to check he's got everything under control. The two women sat quietly for a moment. The departure board continued to flick and update the details of all the trains except for theirs. Then, the bing-bong-bing of the tannoy. The 1410 Fauchester train is delayed. We know that, muttered Dora. And work is currently taking place to remove the obstructing tree from the line. We now expect the next train departing from this station to Fauchester to be at 17:30 hours. That's another hour and a half, wailed Harriet as she looked at her watch. It's really not good enough, tutted Dora. Honestly, what a way to spend a Tuesday afternoon. You know, in some respects, I think Tuesdays are far worse than Mondays. You know where you are with a Monday. You've got the whole week ahead of you, and you just get on with it. But Tuesday, it's as though you've managed to get Monday out of the way. But Friday still seems such a long way away. I suppose you won't make your accountant's appointment now? Harriet looked at the older woman, who was taking a lipstick from her bag and reapplying the red hue to her mouth. You're right. There's no sense in me waiting for a train now. How about I buy you a cup of tea in the cafe over there, as a thank you for keeping me company, and then I'll be on my way. Well, if you're sure, that would be nice. Better than sitting here for another hour. It's getting a bit chilly too, don't you think? The two ladies made their way across the station concourse to a small, bustling cafe, full with other people waiting for the delayed train. There's a table in the corner there, said Harriet. I'll grab it if you can get the tea. Yes? That's fine, dear. I'll do that. Harriet settled herself at the corner table, noting the various people who were filling the small cafe. Businessmen, people with shopping bags, women with small children, fractious at the delay. She thought of Michael and prayed that Freddie would find Mrs. Bentley at home. Her eyes shifted to the counter, where she could see Dora Barton fumbling in her bag. Well, I'm quite sure it was here, she was saying to the surly-looking woman behind the counter. Dora looked over at Harriet and raised her shoulders in confusion. Not wanting to make a scene, Harriet shuffled her way between the busy tables towards Dora. "This lady here's got no money to pay for the tea," said the woman behind the counter, not seeming to care who could hear. And a few heads turned to see what the commotion was all about. "I do have money, I do," protested Dora. "But it's not here," she continued, looking in her bag, which, from where Harriet stood, appeared to contain only handkerchiefs and lipsticks. "Maybe you do," said the woman behind the counter, "but these teas won't pay for themselves." She looked at Harriet. "Have you got any money to pay with?" "Well, I think so." Harriet knew she only had a £1 note in her purse that she needed for the week's groceries. Dora and the woman behind the counter both looked at her, and with a small sigh, Harriet took the note from her purse and handed it to the woman. "That'll be 1.04 shillings," said the woman, as she took change from the till and handed it to Harriet. "Enjoy your tea." Back at the table, Dora lowered her voice. "My purse must have been stolen. I had it earlier. I'm so very embarrassed. Goodness knows what that woman must have thought." "I'm sure it will turn up," said Harriet, anxiously glancing out of the window to see if anything was happening that might indicate a train would be here soon. "Perhaps you left it at home." "Home? Well, perhaps I did that. But I must thank you for paying, though I'm sure, with your job, you won't mind spending a few pennies on a cup of tea. It's so terribly humiliating to be found with no money. What must you think of me?" Dora paused for a moment, and then her demeanor changed, the earlier air of confidence almost evaporating before Harriet's eyes. "You see, they said it would always be okay. But when Wilfred died, Wilfred was my husband. Understand? Well, what can I say? He left me in rather a pickle, I'm afraid." "Oh, I'm sorry." Harriet sensed the change in the woman and softened her tone. "What happened to your husband?" "I really don't remember. It was so long ago. I was playing Titania in A Midsummer Night's Dream at the Palace Theater at the time. Everything is such a blur. I'm sure I remember the funeral. The lovely man who played Puck was there. He said something. I can just remember. If we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended. Yes, that's right. All is mended." "Dora, are you okay?" Harriet reached across the table and tentatively touched the older lady's arm. Immediately, Dora pulled her arm back in haste, as though something had bitten her. "Don't touch me. No, don't do that." Harriet retracted her hand quickly, reaching for her teacup to steady herself. She looked at Dora over its rim. "I hope you'll be all right, Dora, but I think I'll go and see what's happening with the train just now." "Yes, you do that. They might have the Pullman carriage ready for me now. See if you can hurry them along, dear." Dora opened her handbag and feverishly reapplied her lipstick again. "But I thought—" Harriet was distracted by a scene playing out on the concourse outside the cafe. A woman in a long brown mackintosh and a man in a white coat were standing talking to the guard. The woman was gesturing with her arms, pointing down the platform and then back towards the street. The man in the white coat stood quietly, and the guard looked up and down, scratching his head underneath his cap. His eyes traced across the station, and then did a double take and stopped at the cafe. He looked at Harriet, who was just getting out of her seat, and pointed in her direction. The woman ran across the station, the man in the white coat following her as she burst into the cafe. "Mother!" she called across the small table-filled room. The voices in the cafe fell to a hush, and everyone looked at the woman, and then in Harriet and Dora's direction. "Don't let them take me." Dora grabbed Harriet's arm. "Please." The woman pushed her way between the tables, and now stood trembling as she looked down at Dora, who had her hands over her head and was trying to push herself as far as possible into the corner. "Mother, please, we've been worried sick. Where have you been? Leave me alone. This lady here is looking after me. See, she bought me tea, and she runs an insurance broker's, so she is quite capable. I don't need you or your doctor friend over there." The woman in the brown Macintosh looked at Harriet, eyebrows raised and questions etched across her face. "The train was delayed, and your mother sat next to me. She's missed her appointment with the accountant in Fochester, I'm afraid," Harriet said, attempting to explain the situation. "Accountant? Fochester? Oh, what has she been saying?" The woman looked in despair at the man in the white coat, who was now standing behind her. "I think I should go." Harriet picked up her handbag. "I really need to make sure I get on the train. Freddie is going to go crazy, and poor Michael will wonder where I am." "You tell Freddie to do as you say," piped up Dora from the corner. "You're the boss. Don't have him telling you what to do." "I think we should get Mrs. Barton back to my surgery," said the man in the white coat calmly. "We can get her settled down there. Come on now, Mother." The woman touched Dora's shoulder. Dora shirked away. "Let's get you back to talk to nice Mr. Davidson here, and no running off this time." She looked at Harriet. "Would you believe it? We only left her for less than a minute. We've been looking for her for the last 2 hours. Well, I'm glad you found her." Harriet moved to the other side of the woman. "Goodbye, Dora. It was nice to meet you." Dora looked up from the corner, dabbing her handkerchief at her mouth. "You tell that Freddie of yours," she said. "You tell him to mend his own trousers and to look after that little boy of yours properly." Harriet stared for a moment, unsure if she'd heard correctly, then hastened her goodbye and made her way towards the platform where the delayed 1410 to Fochester was pulling into the station. Later that evening, Harriet tucked Michael into his cot and placed a gentle good-night kiss on his forehead. She stood at the bedroom door and smiled, watching for a moment as her son fell into a blissful slumber. Downstairs, she took Freddie's torn trousers that he'd left strewn across the sofa and put them in a bag of scrap fabric that she kept in the cupboard under the stairs. She then made herself a cup of tea and settled down to read her favorite magazine. As Harriet West turned the pages of her magazine, 20 miles away, behind a locked bedroom door, Dora Barton lay in her small single bed, staring up at the ceiling and beyond. And Dora Barton smiled, silent but deadly. The grass waves to the breath-filled song of the wind. No, wait. That doesn't sound quite right. Maybe just the voice of the wind. The luscious grass dances as the wind sings. Something like that anyway. I look around me, casually, like I'm taking in the view, and not at all looking for a sudden change in the landscape that would signal my end. Should I admit that I'm scared? I'd be mad not to. But then this is madness. I'm narrating my life because my life actually depends on it. The moment I go quiet, it'll come for me. I know that much. Sneaky bollocks, tricking people into being quiet when that's how it finds them. I still don't get that. What form of creature finds its prey via silence? I thought it might hate sound, but no one is quiet in their final moments. And it doesn't seem fazed by the screaming. I shouldn't talk about that. Difficult to filter, though. I can't stop the words coming out. The words are my shield. All I have to do is think of things to say as I walk these next few fields, and then I'll be in the next village, and I can find a radio or just something, anything, to make some noise for me. Then I can sleep. I am so tired. Wait a minute. What if I yawn? Does a yawn count? Or will I be interrupting the flow of sound that protects me? I can't fall or hit a limb against anything, nor can I snag myself on an errant nail. Errant. Where did that come from? I've noticed that my language is getting more flowery. That's good. I don't have to find quite so many words. They're flowing out from me, as though the tap in my mind has been turned a little more. I never knew I had a tap in my mind. This'll do. I can manage this. And I need to stay on top of it, conscious of the stream. I don't want to get carried away and pause in a fog of confusion. I could say any old words. I could do that, but I think I'd go mad as I stirred that crazy word salad around. And then where would I be? I need to keep it together, find somewhere to sit it out, surround myself with a wall of sound, and then sleep? Sleep seems a world away. I'd need someone with me so we could take it in turns to sit watch. Would that work? Would a radio even work? Does it work if the noise isn't coming from you? Does the quality of the sound make a difference? A voice that comes from a mouth is different to one that comes via a speaker. Am I kidding myself? Does it matter that I'm kidding myself? I've made it this far, and that's pretty good. I had safety in numbers for a while back there. It's about survival now. I'm on my own. I've got to keep going. Buy myself time. The creatures might not even be here anymore. Moved on to easier pickings. I don't believe that for a moment. You're still there, aren't you guys? Watching and waiting. All I have to do is pause these words of mine, and you'll be skipping out to meet me in the middle of this damn field. I'd say that you don't see them coming. That's not quite right. It's that when you do see them coming, you're done for. Game over. What little warning you have is useless. A blur of movement. Pain. Gone. You can't outrun what you can't see. They don't move like anything on this earth. There's no approach, no stalking. They come from nowhere, and the more I think about it, I do think they come from some other dimension. They just appear as though they can pass through gaps in space-time that we can't see. Could they be demons? That makes more and more sense to me. Come to snatch our souls away. Consume us. The end of days. No one thought it would look like this, sound like this. Do our voices cover another sound? The beating of our hearts? Or is it really the sound of our silence that beckons them forth? I'm searching for answers where I think there are likely none. That's what we do, though, isn't it? We search for answers. We walk into a room we've never been in before, and we wonder what the hell it all is. Thankfully, rooms have conventions, like bloody walls and a sodding floor and a buggering ceiling, crappy sofas if it's a living room, a shitty cooker, and an arsehole fridge if it's a kitchen, a bastard bed if it's a... What the hell has happened here? It looks the same, but it's entirely different. I loved walking through these fields. Now it's all painted in violent death. Everyone's violent death. My violent death. I don't want to die. Not like this. But what makes me different? What makes me so special that I think I can evade the fate of everyone else? I'd laugh if this wasn't so serious. I don't think I'll ever laugh again. At least it's quick. It seems quick, anyway. Oh, what if they drag you through those invisible gaps? What if the pain goes on beyond what I have seen? Why do my thoughts go there? Think happy thoughts. Why is the bloody happy cupboard bare? I wish we lived by the sea. That would be nice. I wonder whether they can follow you over the water. I hope not. I hope there are places that they can't go. I hope they eventually give up. They won't, though, will they? Would we? Perhaps they're aliens. Or a lab experiment gone wrong. Doesn't matter, though, does it? If my nemesis introduced himself as Norman, shook my hand, and did me the courtesy of telling me what he was, where he came from, and why he and his mates were wreaking violent and bloody murder across the planet. It doesn't change the important bit, does it? I'm not going to smile and tell him that that's all right then. I suppose it would give me the opportunity for a moment of defiance. I could tell Norman, the planet conqueror, to bugger off. You know what? I can do that anyway, can't I? I can shout my defiance at this new world of Normans. I might not have the final word, but I'll have given him what for. Might even feel good, if only for the duration of my shouting. Yeah, I'm going to do it. What have I got to lose? I'm going to lose anyway, so may as well go for it. Tell you what, Norman, I'm going to primal scream it. I'm going to dig deep down and bring my ancient part to the fore. We are animals, after all. A force to be reckoned with. And I don't give a shit if I lose my voice doing it. I will keep talking afterwards in any case. You're not getting me like that, you sneaky little bastard. Here goes. Bugger off, Norman. Yeah. Wow. Hey, what was that? I can still see it. A gap. Norman! I shouted, a gap open. That's why you don't like our voices. Our voices are our power. Oh yes, of course they are. This changes everything. Yes. I'm going to bring it to you, Normie baby. I'm going through that gap of yours, and I'm going to shout your whole house down. What else is there? I can't keep this talk up. You'll get me in the end if I keep running away. But if I bring it to you and shout you down, that might just do it. I'm coming for you, Norm. And we're going to talk it out. Just you and me. Then, when we're done, I'll tell all your friends. I've got hope now, Norman. Hope and a plan. Best of all, I have belief. That makes me dangerous. We're not sheep. We were never sheep. We're not even wolves. We're different, and we're difficult. We're magic, Norman. And my words are a spell you are not going to break. Coming, whether you're ready or not. Burn the house. Down. Did you hear what happened to the old house on Birch Street? No? What? It burned down. Burned down? How? Nobody knows for sure. People are saying it was arson. Arson? That place was empty for years. Who would bother? That's what everyone's asking. But there were lights on the night before. Lights? You're serious? As a heart attack. I saw it myself. You were there? Well, I was passing by, took a shortcut through the park, and you didn't think to tell anyone. I didn't think it mattered. Thought maybe the city finally sent someone to clear it out. The city? They don't even fix the street lights. Why would they bother with that house? You're probably right. But who else would be in there? kids, maybe? You know, messing around. That's what I thought at first. But what? I saw someone. Someone? Yes, a man. Or at least, I think it was a man. You think? What does that mean? It was dark, okay? I couldn't see clearly. But there was someone moving around inside. Did they see you? No. At least, I don't think so. I kept my distance. What were they doing? It looked like they were carrying something. A bag, maybe. A bag? Like a duffel bag? Could have been. Hard to tell from where I was. And then they disappeared. Into the back of the house. That's weird. You didn't hear anything? No. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Did you notice anything else? There was a smell. A smell? Like gasoline. Gasoline? Are you kidding me? No, I swear. I didn't think much of it at the time. How could you not? Gasoline in an old house? That's a red flag. I know that now, okay? But at the time, I just thought it was, I don't know, maybe they were fixing something. Fixing something? In that house? I wasn't thinking clearly. So what did you do after that? I kept walking. You just left? Yeah, and you didn't tell anyone? Who was I supposed to tell? The cops? They wouldn't believe me. Maybe they would have, after it burned down. Look, I didn't know it was gonna burn down. Still, this is bad. I know it is. That's why I've been freaking out. Does anyone else know you were there? No? Not yet, anyway. You sure about that? Yeah. What if someone saw you? Nobody saw me. You can't be certain. I'm telling you, I was careful. But if they find out, they won't. You're awfully confident for someone who's in the middle of this mess. What mess? I didn't do anything. You were there. That's enough to make it messy. So what are you saying? I'm saying you better figure out what you're gonna do if someone starts asking questions. Like who? The cops, for starters. Why would they come to me? I don't know. Maybe they've got cameras or something. Cameras? At that old place? Or nearby? Someone could have seen you. You're just trying to scare me. No. I'm trying to make you think. I am thinking. And I think you're overreacting. Am I? Yeah. Nobody cares about me walking past some abandoned house. Maybe. But what if they find out about the gasoline? What about it? I didn't put it there. Doesn't matter. You were there, you smelled it, and you didn't report it. So what? Is that a crime? Maybe not, but it sure makes you look bad. This is insane. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying you're connected now. Connected how? By walking through the park? By seeing something? Fine. Let's say the cops come. What am I supposed to tell them? The truth. The truth? Yeah. You walked by, saw lights, smelled gasoline, and kept going. And you think that's gonna make me look less suspicious? Better than lying? I don't know. This feels all wrong. What's your alternative? I don't know. Maybe just keep quiet? Bad idea. Why? Because secrets have a way of coming out. You don't understand. If I say something, they might think I was involved. Not saying anything makes you look more involved. This is a nightmare. It's not that bad. Not that bad? You just said, I'm connected to a house that burned down. Look, you're not the one who set it on fire, but they don't know that. Then, make them know. How? By being honest. Honest? With cops? That's a joke. You got a better plan? No. Then maybe stop freaking out and just deal with it. Easy for you to say. You weren't there, and I'm trying to keep you from making it worse. Fine. Let's say I tell them. Then what? Then you answer their questions and move on. Just like that? Yeah. You don't think they'll dig deeper? Into what? You didn't do anything. I don't know. What if there's more to this? Like what? Like, what if that guy I saw was the one who started the fire? Then it's even more important that you say something. You're not getting it. What if he saw me? Okay. Let's think this through. There's nothing to think about. If he saw me, I'm screwed. Not necessarily. How do you figure? He doesn't know who you are. What if he does? How? Did you talk to him? No. Then relax. Relax? Are you serious? Yes. You're overthinking this. Overthinking? Someone torched a house, and I was there. You weren't in the house. But I saw him, and he didn't see you. You don't know that? If he did, don't you think he would have come after you? Maybe. Or maybe he's waiting. For what? I don't know. To make sure I don't talk. You're spiraling. Am I? What if this guy's dangerous? He might be. All the more reason to go to the cops. I can't. Why not? Because if I talk, and he finds out, you're making this bigger than it is. Am I? Yeah. I don't think you get how serious this is. I do. And that's why you need to stop hiding. I can't. You can. No, I can't. What if... Stop. Listen to yourself. What? You're working yourself up over nothing. Nothing? Yeah. You think this is nothing? Compared to what it could be? Yeah. What does that mean? It means you're not the one who burned the house down. And that's all that matters. I wish I could believe that. You should. I don't know. Then figure it out fast, because this isn't going away. What do you mean? Sooner or later, someone's gonna come knocking. And when they do, be ready. I hope you're right. I am. You better be. I am. The wrath of La Vipera. Nera. How long has it been? Ale's mouth was dry, but sweat dampened his lips. 47 minutes, a voice replied. Closing his eyes, Ale drew in as much breath as his lungs would allow, then let it out in a deep sigh. 47 minutes. It felt like hours. There was no clock on the wall, no sunlight in the windows, no way for him to gauge how long he'd been captive. He would just have to keep asking. He sat in a steel chair, his hands tied behind his back. The room around him was pitch dark, and though impossible, it seemed to be growing even darker. It would still be light outside. He'd been taken just before he was to meet his wife for dinner. But to him, it felt like night. The thought of his wife sent a sharp jolt of worry down his spine. Would she do as expected and try to rescue him? He could hope not, but that hope would be irrational. She would come for him. She was the reason he'd been taken in the first place. The only ounce of hope that remained was the certainty he had that she would not make rash decisions. She would plan. She would prepare. She wouldn't let her emotions fog her judgment. At least, he was pretty sure she wouldn't. He tried to use his brain. He tried to gather as much information as he could, but the room seemed to muddle his senses. The air was thin, hot, and smelled of dust. An attic? No, the floor was cool, hard, concrete. It felt small enough that had they not been tied, he could reach out his arms and touch both walls. But whoever spoke to him certainly was further than that. Their voice didn't bounce off the concrete floor. It didn't reverberate off any walls, but he could tell which direction it came from. They weren't close enough that he could sense them near him, but the room felt far too small for them to be more than an arm's length away. He would have to rely on something else. What could he remember? He had just left the house. His head was down, and he was fiddling with his car keys. He didn't see them coming. He was suddenly flung forward, having been shoved from behind with the force of a linebacker. He braced to hit the ground, but had been caught by two more pairs of hands. One, calloused and rough, covered his mouth as another threw something around the top of his head. It was soft. A blanket? A sweatshirt? Something that could be tied. He had kicked wildly, tried to pry the hand from his face, tried to scratch, tried to bite, but it made no difference. His heart was pounding in his ears, but he heard a car approach. Fear forced his muscles to tighten to the point of pain. He tasted the coppery, metallic taste of blood, but it was from his own cheek, caught in the clenching of his jaw. The sound of a car door sliding broke through the fullness in his ears. A van. He felt his feet lift off the ground, a pain stabbing under his arms where he'd been held. He came down hard on the floor of the vehicle, his face feeling cold where the hand had lost its grip. A scream grew in his throat, but hardly made it out of his mouth before he was harshly grabbed again, the hand returning to his lips. The door slid closed, and he felt the vehicle lurch forward. His hands, sweaty and shaking, were pulled behind him and tied together. Someone spoke from the front of the van, firm and demanding. "Don't hurt him unless you have to. The less damage we do, the better." That should have been reassuring, but he knew he wasn't the target. His wife had made enemies. It was inevitable in her line of work, and he knew the danger. Years with no incidents had given him a false sense of security. He should have taken the time to prepared. A self-defense class or two might have done him some good, or learning to shoot a gun. It wasn't for his wife's lack of insistence. He just kept putting it off. And now it was too late. Surely she had prepared, right? Surely she wouldn't fall for a trap like this. She was clever. He had faith in that. He didn't know how long they'd driven, not for sure, but it was long enough for the hand on his mouth to relax, and for him to know that yelling wouldn't help him. When the van stopped, he'd been pulled out of it and carried through a heavy door he remembered hearing slam. He heard the sound of heavy footsteps on stairs and the echoes that followed. A stairwell, then. He struggled to focus, the shoulder of one of his captors digging uncomfortably into his gut. He tried to shift himself to sit more comfortably, but he found he was held too tightly. There was the sound of unintelligible whispers, another heavy door, and moments later, he was lowered to his feet and pushed down onto a hard metal chair. Alessandro Fochetta. It wasn't said as a question. They knew who he was. He wouldn't give them the satisfaction of a response. Your wife, La Vipera Nera. How much do you suppose you're worth to her? He couldn't fight them off. He knew that the second they'd assaulted him, but he could keep his mouth shut. He heard his interrogator, tap impatiently on something. A table? I'm sure it's hard to place value on things when you're the most successful thief in Los Angeles. Money doesn't mean the same thing to you as it does to everyone else, does it? Silence. Again. Al was sure he'd make it out of this. And if his wife did too, she'd surely have something to say about being called the most successful thief in LA. Successful? Without a doubt. Thief? She'd fume at the label. He found it hard not to laugh aloud at the thought. They were right. Money didn't mean the same thing to them. It meant something far different 15 years earlier, when the two of them survived off bread, peanut butter, 69 boxes of dried pasta, and canned tuna. But now? Did money mean anything at all anymore? It doesn't matter. Once she sends us $20,000, you're free to go. Al felt a smile form on his lips. He tried to swallow the laugh that was threatening to burst from him, but it came out anyway. He heard a clatter, something thrown to the floor. Anger laced his interrogator's voice. What the fuck is so funny? Ale sucked in his lips, trying to stifle his laughter. 20,000. So you've gone and pissed off La Viperanera for $20,000? He fought another wave of laughter, reminding himself where he was. He didn't know these people. They could still kill her. There were plenty of people who'd pay more than $20,000 for her head. You could have asked her for $20,000. She might have wondered what for. But she knows what it's like to be desperate for money. It's what had gotten her into the business she was in, after all. Instead, you decided to kidnap her husband and hold him for ransom. No, I don't think she'll give you the money, even if you really were just going to let me go. I think she's going to kill you. He felt a rush of cool air as the man stood. You better hope she makes this easy for all of us. And with that, he was gone. Ale leaned back, feeling the cool steel of the chair through his shirt. It felt nice. Wherever they had him, they hadn't bothered to turn on any air. He wondered what plan his wife would cook up, and let himself imagine it for a few minutes. The silence was broken by footsteps on the hard floor, and he felt someone lean over him. His breath quickened, but he forced it to slow. Their hand gripped the cloth at his head, and he felt a rush of cooler air against his forehead as it was removed. He opened his eyes, expecting to take in a view of the room. But it was complete darkness. He didn't hear the person retreat, but he no longer felt them next to him. How long has it been? He was suddenly aware of how dry his mouth was. Half hour, a voice answered. It wasn't his interrogator. It was too shaky, too unsure. He sounded young. Someone roped into a task that was way over his head. Ale almost felt sorry for him. He didn't know how long his wife would take. Part of him hoped it wouldn't take long at all. But part of him knew that the longer it took, the more solid her plan would be. In the meantime, the room seemed to suffocate him. Sweat beaded on his face. He could feel it slide down his neck. He hoped he'd be conscious when she finally did come. He felt as if he was swaying, but in the darkness, he couldn't quite tell. How long has it been? 47 minutes. It had to be close to an hour now. He would have to prepare himself for hours longer. He wished he had a drink. Suddenly, a wedge of light illuminated the room as a door swung open. Al turned away, unaccustomed to the brightness. Through squinted eyes, he took in what he could of the room. The walls were covered with foam squares to dampen the sound. The only furniture was the chair where he sat, and an office chair that sat parallel to him. He could see someone standing in the corner, still bathed in darkness. The person who'd been keeping track of time. How had he done so? In the dark. There hadn't been the light of a phone, at least that Al had noticed. A frantic boy entered, his face pale and drenched in sweat. Cut his hands free. We need him. She's here. She's inside. He looked over his shoulder as if expecting her to jump out at him. The man in the corner was clearly shaken by the words, jumping forward to cut the tie at Alay's hands. Inside. How did she get inside? Darwin was guarding the... She shot him. She didn't even say anything. She just came out of nowhere, shot him, and forced her way in. He sounded as if he was fighting back tears. Al wasn't the vengeful type, and under most circumstances, neither was his wife. He'd be lying if he said he didn't feel at least a little bad. So what are we going to do? Give him to her. That's what she's here for, isn't it? Alo felt their fear, though he wasn't sure why. He had been them, or at least similar to them. He had been a terrified 20-year-old, not sure where his next meal would come from, not sure what he would have to do to make rent. These two certainly didn't seem the masterminds behind this plan, regardless. No, that was the man who'd interrogated him. A man old enough to know better. A man arrogant enough to think he could kidnap Alessandro Fochetta and live to tell the tale, and with an extra $20,000 in his pocket. The man who was in here before. The one who asked me questions. Who is he? They froze, or as near to freezing as they could get while still shaking. His name! I need his name! There was more force behind his words now. They shifted uncomfortably on their feet. Leon Metzger, Ailey nodded. With the door open, he could hear someone yelling, and the crack of a gunshot. I can find my way from here. He left the room, closing the door behind him. Sparing them could be dangerous, but killing them would be senseless. Metzger was the one he wanted. Plus, he could easily give them $10,000, and he was sure they'd do whatever he asked. He could remember when 10,000 seemed life-changing. The hallway outside the door was like that of a parking garage, only narrower. It was concrete on the walls and floor, with large, orange-tinted lights along the ceiling. He went toward the commotion. This wasn't a massive operation, half a dozen men at most, and 2 of them were in the room he just left. How many stood between him and his wife? He broke into a run, hoping the next person he ran into would be her. Another gunshot rang out, the sound bouncing its way down the halls. He was close. He turned a corner to see his knight in black, bulletproof armor, a seething glower on her face. Her expression immediately brightened as she hastened to him. "Are you all right? Are you hurt?" She looked him over, seeming afraid to touch him in case he was injured. I'm fine. I'm assuming you are too." He poked playfully at the bulky vest she wore. She nodded, but her face grew serious again. "How many were there?" She started down the hallway, 4 at most. He would tell her the truth when she didn't have a gun in her hand, and she wasn't searching for men to kill. "Leon Metzger, he's the one in charge. I've taken down 3, so that leaves Mr. Metzger. He wouldn't charge at the woman with a gun. So where is he hiding?" Metzger didn't give them the chance to wonder. He appeared down the hall as if on cue, turning and confidently leaning against the wall. There she is, the famed Black Viper herself. "You really are as fearsome as they say, aren't you?" "Honestly, I didn't." Another gunshot, then another, and another. Metzger crumpled to the floor like a thrown rag doll. All heard his wife sigh heavily, from relief, he was sure. She turned to face him, taking him into a strong embrace. The Velcro of her vest scratched at his face, but he didn't care. He was safe. She was a criminal. She drew attention and danger, but so long as she was there, he knew he was safe. She pulled back, tucking the gun against her back in the waistband of her pants. "Are you sure you're all right?" She moved her hands along his arms and chest, as if checking him over. "I'm okay, really." He held a hand to his stomach. "I'm kind of hungry, though. Starving, actually." She laughed, wrapping an arm around him and leading him towards the exit. She paid the lifeless bodies no mind as they walked past, and all did the same. "We still have enough time to get to our dinner reservations," she said cheerfully as he pulled open the door for her. "Actually, I'm really craving pasta. The dried pasta we used to get, with the jarred sauce from the dollar store." She gave him a questioning look, but only for a moment. Yeah, that sounds perfect. Hail Mary! The man lay prone on the edge of thick woods, sighting down the scope of a .30-06 hunting rifle. Snow flurries melted on the back of his neck. For an unknown reason, and mixed with the smell of pine and gun oil, the phrase "veil of an endless winter" entered his mind. He shook his head. "Poetry is the vice of fools," he scoffed. Through the compressed distance, the telescopic lens thickened the falling snow, proving the chalk house a quarter-kilometer away, a miraged dream. A woman came out on the porch, centered in the crosshairs. As if something caught her attention, she glanced quickly in the man's direction. She studied the woods for a long time. They stared back at one another, she in the glass from opposing distance, he a foreign and ominous presence. He stripped off his camouflage clothing, his muscles taut. After switching out to jeans, a black polar tech, and civilian hiking boots, he broke down the rifle, then wrapped the sections carefully in white cloth. He stuffed the bundle into his knapsack. Before he tied up the pack, he pulled out a clear plastic sleeve containing a yellowed file. Within it, he flipped through multiple pages, stopping at an aged copy of a driver's license. The photo, a man with long white hair. He tapped the image, his forefinger protruding from a fingerless leather black glove. He then said out loud, "Gotcha, you son of a bitch. Do you have food?" He asked the woman who answered the oak plank door. She was gaunt and scanned over the man's head to the woods. "She's beautiful," he thought. "Is she 35 or 50? She looked the man over. "We can give you food for work, but not long." "Okay, what are you?" "I'm Tavi." "No, I mean, what are you?" "Bannock." "I'm Bannock." "Did you come from Twin Falls?" "The reservation." "No, no one comes from there anymore. We need you to bury cattle." "Can you do that?" "Yes." Days went by, and the man slept in the barn and spent his time chipping at frozen ground, digging holes, maws in the earth. There were over 50 carcasses in a field, bloated and gray-white. The work didn't bother him. It took his mind off remembering the night the white flash struck the horizon, safely at home, a Netflix series on TV. His wife was reading in a pink robe, his son in his bedroom. His first thought was, why didn't I ever buy a gun? The impact wave struck the house, sweeping it away as easy as fine cutlery off a table. And as luck would have it, leaving him without a scratch, but alone. Sooner than he could have ever imagined, he was arrested by men coming to his tent in the camps. "You're a terrorist," accused the broken and terrified faces, neighbors he'd hugged at Christmas parties. The only way to prove he wasn't the enemy was learning how to fire a gun, learning how to point a finger at other people, learning how not to feel anything while passing ash-laden bodies hanging in nooses. How can I live with myself? he'd ask the ghost of his wife. You can't, she'd say. Just come home. Down. He cares nothing about us. You're too young to understand, the old woman said to the boy. And why should he care? He'll slit our throats right here in the kitchen. The old woman, her daughter Faith, and the boy were eating dinner. Faith cut ribs, separating the bones by hacking at them with a meat cleaver. The boy's face glistened badly, where on one side his flesh lay in white, scared rivulets. Just stop, Faith said to her mother. He's only 12. No one spoke for over a minute, while the old woman stared at Faith cutting the meat. He's scum, you know? Only an Indian would bury livestock for a living. With her elbows spread wide, her pincered teeth darted back and forth, pecking small pieces of flesh. A white bone in her greasy skeleton hands. What makes you so sure he's trouble? Maybe he's been sent to help us. Now you've got the sickness to think that. I don't imagine we need to worry he'll kill us while we sleep. Do you think that? Really? Damn right I do. That's exactly what he'll do if we're not careful. Faith's mother spit out a piece of pink grizzle. Your brother will be back soon. He'll tell us what to do. What's that? The boy called from the porch. Tavi held a football, flipping it in his hands. He threw the leather ball to the boy, who fumbled and dropped it. I'm not very good, the boy said. Sure you are. Pass it to me. Tavi moved away from the porch. The boy was thin and moved like a young man, and Tavi's face grimaced, remembering a day when the sky was blue and fall leaves yellow and red. I only dream in color, he thought. The boy threw him the ball. Better, you are good. Now you run out. The boy hesitated, moved off the porch, and jogged out 10 paces. Throw it, Tavi. Go way back. Tavi held the ball high in a poise, like a statue getting ready to launch the ball. Holding the stance, and with a radio announcer's voice, he said, Listeners, he's going out for the big play, still 2 points behind. Will the Saints have a last gasp to win the game? Tavi braced himself. He's throwing a Hail Mary. The crowd roars. The boy ran well into the yard, and Tavi threw deep, the ball arching through the gray sky. The boy reached his fingers and bobbled the ball, tipping it up into the air. It then fell into his arms. Score! The boy hero wins the game. The boy's smile broke broadly, and he came back to the porch. He handed the ball to Tavi. There's no more football, but there is. We're the proof, aren't we? I guess. But it's not the same. Tavi put his arm around the boy's neck. He pulled him close. Laughing, the boy hugged Tavi. Tavi winced. He burst out crying. Just go in the house, will you? Go, damn it! The boy cowered, his eyes wide. He ran to the house and slammed the screen door. Soon Faith came out, but Tavi was nearly retuned to the barn. Is this what it's come to? she asked herself. Am I so desperate I'd let my son be abused by a stranger who barely talks? No. Even with your life stripped away, you still have something. Your son. He is the only pure honesty left. What keeps you alive? She plodded to the barn and then leaned against the barn door. Tavi's shirt was off, and he was pumping water into a bucket. Scars covered his back like lost highways on some map no one used anymore. You don't yell at my son, Faith said. Tavi glanced up. I'm sorry. What's your problem? Nothing. That's not enough. If you want to stay, you need to tell me. It's nothing, okay? What? Tell me. Tavi put his shirt back on. Jason reminds me of my son. It's hard for me. That's all. A minute passed. I'm sorry, but that's still no reason. What did you do before the war? I worked in a fishery near Stanley. We would spawn salmon and release them into the river. Why would you do that? We would count the few that returned. They traveled hundreds of miles from the ocean to get back. The lake is called Redfish for when my people lived there. The lake was red with the fish. Do you think there's still fish? I don't know, but I'd like to find out. They say the deer may have returned also. Some elk. Life is still out there. People survived. Just luck in my case, Faith. Bad luck. Maybe something else. I don't believe in anything but luck. But you don't know, do you? Maybe there's something else other than luck. That sounds like a stretch, Faith. I used to think we're meant to leave something better for those to follow. I don't believe that anymore. Something better for those to follow? We didn't do such a wonderful job, did we? What about you? Is there anywhere you'd like to go? I'll stay here. My brother takes care of us. Food, fuel. Without him, we'd be in a camp, I suppose. You'll like him. He'll be here in a few days. Tavi reached out and touched a place on Faith's cheek. He caressed her with his fingers, then reached behind her and braced the back of her neck. He showed no emotion, like stroking a cardboard box, his eyes curious. Remembering, finally, Faith said, It's been a long time. I've aged. You might not. You don't know who I am, Faith. My advice is to run. They stood facing each other. Then Faith began pulling away. Tavi gently held her neck. Finally, Faith leaned in and grazed Tavi's ear with her lips. There's a place for you in the house. There's still room, at least for hope, isn't there? Tavi woke from a dream where he was wearing snowshoes in thick snow over ice. He was breaking trail, and his wife was behind him in a red winter jacket. The sun was bright, and she laughed at something he said. With a grunt, she broke through the ice and then clawed at the edge where the hole had broken through. She soon slipped under. Tavi stripped off his jacket and dove into the hole. As he pulled down with his arms into the ice water, his body felt numb, but he still kicked his legs with everything he had, swimming deeper. At last, the red jacket was just beneath him, his wife reaching to him from below in the pale light. "Swim, damn it! Swim! Grab my hand!" Faith lay next to him in the dawn white of winter. She was shoving his shoulder. There are men on the porch. As Faith and Tavi came downstairs, they saw two men talking to the old woman. One man towered over her. He wore a Kevlar vest and leaned in. "We've got him, so this is a simple trade. If you think about it." The old woman held a small pistol in her hand. "Jesse, take your boy and get off my property." The younger one moved to go. He wore a vest also, but both the vest and the camouflage clothing didn't fit. More clown-like than threatening, Jesse scowled down at the old woman. "You telling us you don't want him? He's my son. You think I don't want him?" The man put his hand on the big revolver on his side. "You give us what Joe told us you have, or we'll start carving on him. We aren't in high school anymore." The screen door squeaked, and Tavi came out of the house. He stood by the old woman's side. Tavi glanced at the AR-15, auto-fed, that the younger man had slung over his shoulder. It dangled on a lanyard. Jesse glanced at Tavi. "Who the hell is this?" "You get out of here, now," the old woman said. The two men walked away, and Tavi and the old woman went back into the house. They gathered in the living room with the boy and Faith. "Why didn't you shoot him, Grandma?" asked the boy. He went to the window and peered through. "That's Jesse Rollins." "Yes, it is," said the old woman. "Now move away from the window." "What did they mean by saying they have Joe?" Faith asked. The old woman checked the handgun for bullets. A small .22 pistol. "They have our Joe, holding him out there. But I'm not giving them anything. It's all we have keeping us from a camp. You can't imagine, Faith, what Joe says is going on. He's family. It's a trade, isn't it? I'm just doing what he'd do to us. He's as dog-eat-dog as I am, and knows how it is." Tavi entered the room, carrying his pack. It was full, his feet heavy on the wood slats. The scoped rifle was strapped in a sling over his shoulder, and he wore camouflaged fatigues. In front of the old woman, he said, "I'll be needing your pistol." The old woman grabbed for the gun, but Tavi held her wrist while he twisted it out of her hand. He then tucked it in the rear of his pants. The boy had tears in his eyes. "Tavi?" Tavi went to the window. He stared for a long time, and then, in a quick motion, he turned over the yellow pine table on its side, dishes shattering, and dragged it to the window. He grabbed a chair, crouched on the seat, and lay the rifle barrel on the edge of the table. Leaning into the scope, the staked-out man 50 yards away came into focus. It had stopped snowing, and the crosshairs remained steady on the man's head, resolute and sharp. The man's hair was long and white. "There's your humanity," the old woman screamed at Faith. "You see it now, don't you, darling?" Tavi lifted the rifle. "Jason, come here." He dragged over another chair. "I'm going to go out there and draw those men out of the woods. When you see the smaller man come out with the rifle, he intends to kill me. Do you understand that? You shoot him, okay? Don't think about it. Just pull the trigger. Here, place your eye on the scope like this. Do you think you can do it? He passed the rifle to Jason. Yes, sir. Tavi slowly crossed the yard to the edge of the clearing. He approached the man on the ground. The boy crouched at the window. Come on, come on, come on, he mumbled to himself as he steadied the rifle, bracing the stock with his shoulder. The old woman paced behind him. You can't shoot, squat. She shoved Jason and put her hands on the barrel. Give it to me. Jason pushed her away and sighted again out the window. Tavi came to the man staked down. He was moaning in the gray ash snow, his face bleeding and bruised. Long white hair streamed down his back, matted and wet. Tavi stared down at him and prodded him with his boot. Do you know who I am? The man on the snow stared back at Tavi with blank eyes. Tavi reached down and cut him loose, and the man rose and staggered towards the house. Jesse came out of the woods. What are you doing? Where's our trade, big man? Tavi stood up. I'm the trade. Me for him. We'll take you, him, and anything they've got, Jesse said. Plus, we'll step in where you left off with Faith, you might say. The old woman jostled Jason, tugging on the barrel. Give me that thing. Again, Jason pushed his grandmother away, jerked the rifle back, his whole body shaking as he crouched behind the scope. He took his eye off the lens to wipe the sweat out of his eyes. Give me the gun, damn it, boy. The boy thrust his body against the old woman, and she sprawled to the floor. He put his eye to the scope, put the crosshairs on the man, and pulled the trigger. Faith heard the click of the gun, and with the empty sound, her heart thumped. Just once, like her insides were collapsing hard in her chest. Jason dropped the rifle, ran to the door, and then stood on the porch. Tavi! His arms flailing, he leaped into the yard. No, don't! Faith screamed. Don't you go! Jason ran towards Tavi, his legs driving through the snow, white bursting around him, the ash kicking up underneath. The younger man squinted at the lunatic boy, whirlpooling his arms, coming straight at him. A howling apparition from hell, scars red aflame on his face. He lifted the AR-15 to his shoulder and swung the barrel. Tavi grabbed the rifle and threw his back into him, and with both hands, he forced the gun toward Jesse, who screamed as jackhammer bullets stitched across his belly. The younger man was behind Tavi now, and he felt a blade slide into his back, slick and deep, the pain piercing to his spine. He fell away and turned as he hit the ground and reached the pistol behind his back and fired into the young man. Tavi dreamed. The water was deep, a pure crystal blue. He pulled with his arms and kicked as hard as he could to fight, to descend. He tasted salt. And then his wife was there in her red jacket and broad-faced smile, reaching to him from below. The water was warm as he went deeper, so very warm. She stretched to him, her face with such a smile. "Grab my hand," she said, and he did. They began swimming against the current. Who was it then? Friday night, Mary, a 24-year-old girl, tired from job, was going to her childhood bestie, Julia. "Julia and I studied in the same class," murmured Mary, sitting in Metropolitan. God, I can't believe this is happening. I am going to meet my best friend after 9 years. I am full of tears," said Mary, with eyes full of tears in her eyes. Actually, these tears were symbolizing her happiness and grief at the same time. She was remembering the moments spent with her Julia. "Hey, miss, can we talk, if you don't mind?" questioned Mary from a young lady in front of her. The young lady was surprised that a girl wanted to share her feelings in an excitement. She could not stop herself from knowing the reason behind her excitement. "Yeah, of course," replied the young lady. "Myself, Mary. I am 24 and work for Walmart. Just got a weekend free for myself. I am just going to meet my childhood bestie named Julia. I still remember the days we bunked up classes together, the way we jumped in the playground, enjoyed the lunch together, stole food of other classmates, and ruined the notebooks to be checked by teachers." Ha ha. Mary spoke out all of this in breathless. But wait, she started crying while laughing. What was it? Wondered the young lady. She asked the reason that why she became suddenly sad. Mary replied, "She was always in a gloomy mood in the morning. Her dad used to beat her mom a lot. She was from Islam. She used to tell me that her dad did not allow her mom to stand, even by the window of balcony. Slapped her mom without telling any reason. Always in a hurry of money for drinking alcohol. One day, her mom refused to give money for it. As a result, her dad broke a leg of her mom. She became very upset on that day. I advised many times to her that she should encourage her mom for divorce. But she said that mom will never agree upon it. On the day she told me about her mom's broken leg, I did not know that it would be the last day to see her in the school. After that, she never came. Just this is the story of ours." "Ah, that was such a sad ending," wondered the young lady. "So now you are finally going to meet up your bestie, right?" asked the young lady. "Yes," replied Mary. The young lady asked her that. From where did Mary got her friend's address? Mary told that she went to her friend's old address, and the neighbors told that the family has shifted to Newtown B. "Ah, just 2 kms away, and my destination will be right there. I am coming, Julia," spoke Mary. The young lady asked her many other questions, like why did Mary wait for so many years? Mary told that she became busy in her busy and boring life. Also, she answered her many other questions. Now, it was the time when Station was finally going to be there. The young lady could not stop herself from getting off with Mary. She actually wanted to know about many other things, and also wanted to know that how does her friend and family look now. She decided to go with Mary to Julia's home. When they both finally arrived at their destination, Mary knocked the door. A man aged about 70 to 72 opened the door. Mary ran to the house and started shouting, "Julia! Oh my Julu! Julie, where are you? I have arrived. Now don't play hide and seek." The old man spoke. "What rubbish! What the hell is it?" Julia was my wife. She died 40 years ago in a car accident with her mom. Mary replied, "I am not joking. I know her since childhood. She could not be dead, and she was young, not that much aged. We played just 9 years ago. She told me everything happened to her mom." Mary told all the information and story about Julia to that old man. The old man shocked and cried with tears that the story was real. He went to his old suitcase and got a very old album of Julia's birth to marriage pictures. He showed it to both the ladies. They got extremely shocked. The old man said, "One day she was drunk from a party. She was driving to get back to home with her mom, and I was waiting for her at the dinner with my brother and his wife. The car just crashed the huge truck, and after that, she died. Her mom was in coma. But Julia was not anymore. She left all of us with that heartbreaking feeling." Julia's story is exactly matching to the story of her mom's life. I don't know. Where did you got this information? From the kids? It's been 40 years. She is dead, but I always try to feel her presence. But she never came in my dream, not even a single time. I don't know how to meet her. I just want to get that soon. I hope this is possible as soon as possible. I'm just waiting for my death each day. Actually, yeah, it is true that her childhood was really very bad. Her dad used to be her mom. Without any reason, didn't allow her to move outside with freedom. Once he broke her leg as well. And after that, her mom became handicapped. Julie met me, and we were married. We were actually good friends in college. After we got married, her dad was dead. Her mom shifted to us. They both were actually happy, but she never could forgive her. That because her dad had ruined her mom and her childhood. The flood got out of their feet that how could this happen? Mary was shocked that the story was true, and Julie's face was the same. But how could this be like that? She was an old lady, already dead, and wondered that what about the girl she played with all the time? All of the three started crying, and the young lady was very frightened. She tremblingly said, "Who was it then? Birthday, fear, and marriage." "A toast," she exclaimed, holding up her shot, waiting for the others to follow suit. The two men held up their drinks, clinking and laughing. "Happy birthday!" she yelled unusually loud. I'm sure the whole bar heard her. The birthday man had the biggest smile, looking happy, appreciative, nostalgic, if nostalgic had a look. He had his head cocked to one side, his whole face lit up, but his eyes were deep and distant. The small bistro table reached up to their chests. Even though the bar was dimly lit, displaying the usual neon beer signs and overhead Pabst Blue Ribbon bar lights, I could still see her cheery outfit. A green sequins top, black jeans, and sandals. She had on those antenna headbands sporting springy shamrocks. They bounced around on her head as she talked and laughed. She looked cute for the beginning of spring and St. Patrick's Day, and that thought sent an electrifying pang through me. The guys beside her had green t-shirts, a typical guy effort. The rest of the bar was a steady buzz of clinking, laughter, and the occasional loud outburst of people becoming intoxicated. "I'll be right back," said the girl's voice enthusiastically as she hopped down from her seat and headed towards the ladies' room. Her blouse reflected the lighting, and she appeared to glide away, her long, dark hair trailing behind. The guys chopped it up, patting each other on the back and carrying on like teens. Brothers? Or father and son? I couldn't recall, but they looked slightly alike. Then I remembered that the big guy had an older brother, so this one must have been his son. "I got another round," the girl in green declares excitedly. She puts down 3 green beer mugs and returns to retrieve 3 shot glasses. I didn't see her leave the women's restroom and felt annoyed. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss a move. I feel a splash on my wrist, and a tall guy with dark hair and light eyes, who must be 10 years younger than me, is smiling at me. "I'm so sorry," he says. "I didn't mean to bump your table." I lick off the alcohol from my wrist, and he smiles wider. "Can I get you another?" "Sure," I say. "A kamikaze, please." He leaves and returns with drinks for both of us. We engage in small talk, but the conversation takes a twist. It starts to get deep, past relationships and family. And finally, he asks, "Are you single?" "I am," I say. "It's only been 3 months, but I feel so free now." "I know what you mean," he concurs. "I've been single for about a year now." Just then, the DJ blasts the perfect dance song, and we look at each other and get up to dance. It is so much fun, I think. I enjoy the sweaty feeling from dancing as my hair sticks to my face and neck. The pheromones in the air with the slight alcohol buzz, the way the room swirls in the dimness, and the vibe of happiness and opportunity in the bar. My body feels like it is moving exactly how I want it to. I feel sexy and elated. After a 25-minute set, we make our way back to the table. The girls I came with are in their corners, talking to their catches of the day. I didn't come for any of this, but I was glad it found me. He walks over to the bar to get us another round, and I bite my lip as I see his arms flex and reach into his pocket for his wallet. He's cute, my type, and he can carry a conversation. He's not an idiot, I muse. As he walks back towards me, I avert my eyes, acting like I wasn't watching him. But then I see Shamrock Girl. She is hugging the big guy, and the one I assume is the son comes in for a group hug. They hold on to each other, appearing like a tight-knit unit. She must be the sister, I decide. I've heard that the big guy has a sister. A kiss near my lip. He's back. My flirty side goes in for a small nibble. He smiles directly into my eyes, and I can tell I got him. That's so sexy, he glows, after unleashing the shy girl act, engaging in intelligent conversation, being interested in all he says, and validating his masculine gestures. Classic flirting. I arrive at the next step. Teasing. It's not as calculated as it sounds. It comes naturally to me, and I could teach a class as good at it as I am at it. I stare at him as I sip my drink. There is a commotion at the Shamrock Girls' table. A group of guys and a couple of girls come in, high-fiving and hugging the three family members. I hear loud, "Happy birthdays," and there is camaraderie. It's a celebratory moment. I've had enough. I didn't come for this. I stand up, grab my jacket, which feels heavier than usual, and tell my cutie I need to find my friends. He looks disappointed, and I am struggling to keep my composure. My chest starts to feel tight, and my stomach starts to turn. I feel my heart beating faster, and my hands begin to shake. I feel sadness, then resolve, then the anger. I became blind. I walk to the Shamrock Girls' table and stand directly before her. My eyes are hard, and I stare at her. She stops talking, and her face straightens. The big guy, the killer, sucks in his breath. Must be nice, I utter. Must be nice to have a brother to celebrate his birthday with. My voice becomes louder and colder. She doesn't say anything. The surrounding people begin to look towards us. I snatch her hair with exceptional force and yank her face to the table. It is then the rage takes over. I fucking hate you! I scream at her. I hate you. I say to the big guy, attempting to reach for his sister. I pull the small, sharpened, handheld spear I carry and jab it into his hand. He yells and pulls his hand back. It is dawning on her who I am. She thought 25 years ago was long forgotten. The big guy thought it was behind him. He felt he paid his price for killing my brother, his classmate, and his childhood friend. But he didn't. I didn't get to serve my justice. I'm screaming viciously at everyone who is attempting to reach for me. I look like a rat cornered, trying to find a way out. In the corner of my eye, I see my cutie. He doesn't look shocked. He is slightly smiling at me. "Let me do this!" I scream. I raise my other hand with my spear and see myself driving it into her temple as I hold her down with my other hand by her hair. "No, don't," was the only muffled words I heard from her. Screams ensue as I graze her head and stab the table. I plunge over and over on the wooden table beside her head until the adrenaline starts to subside. I realize the music has stopped and the whole bar is watching. The big guy was stunned, but he didn't restrain me. He let me do it, as I asked. He's holding his hand. He mouths, "I'm sorry," as the bar begins to fade into black. I feel someone's arms gently touching my shoulders, and my shoulders start to cave in. I slowly release my grip on her hair and let my hand fall onto my jacket. Her face, smeared with tears and sweat, looks at me as she backs away. It's my cutie's arms. He guides me away, enveloping me with his body for protection. He moves me through the crowd. My hand feels the metal of the gun, the one I bought a couple of years after the big guy killed my brother in an attempt to curb my fear of guns. It remained in its case for over 20 years. I was still afraid of them. The topic came up in my deep conversation with the cutie I met. I told him my plan. He must have thought I was joking, but he was keen when it rolled out like the scenario I painted. As he walked me out of the building, I could hear my friends calling after me. I ignored them and got into my cutie's car. He shut my door and held me. Still feeling numb, we drove to the city. Halfway there, we started opening up again, talking like we had known each other for years. Nothing ever came of that night. Not one thing. There was no police report, and no one ever brought it up. It's almost as if it never happened. I ended up marrying my cutie. He is my soulmate, and I felt complete. A few years later, the feeling came again. I felt the stirring. I began formulating another way to get her. I'd send in my cousin to seduce her, make her fall in love, then break her heart. She needs a broken heart like mine.